Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Kyuubi is sick and tired of how Naruto acts and changes in his DNA. Part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Why did things always have to go wrong when it comes to my life? Seriously, everything is screwed up. How, you may ask, had things in one Naruto Uzumaki's life gone so wrong? Well, he was supposed to have a normal childhood, family, friends, etc. But he had no clue as to who his parents were, and the villagers seemed to have a major grudge on him, treating him like he had a plague of some sort. Not sure if pranks deserved that kind of reaction. He was supposed to go to the academy, make friends, and graduate. That was a must. Couldn't be Hokage without graduating. Instead, he only had a few real friends and most, if not all, of his classmates thought he was an idiot. To top off that situation, when he graduated, it was on his third try, more like third and a half, and only because he was tricked by Mizuki-sensei into borrowing, not stealing, the forbidden scroll, and managed to learn a Jounin level jutsu and beat Mizuki-sensei with said jutsu. And he found out that apparently he was the vessel for the nine-tailed fox, Kyuubi, who apparently killed Iruka-sensei's parents, along with his and a whole lot of other kids' parents, leading the older generation to hate him. He was also supposed to, after graduating, get put on the same team as the love of his life and someone else tolerable, Shikamaru or Chouji maybe, as well as give his first kiss to his love of his life, but instead, well yes he got put on the same team as Sakura, he also got put on the same team as the prick Sasuke team and gave, unwillingly, stupid random guy knocking him from behind his first kiss to said prick. I mean, shit, if that wasn't screwed up, I dunno what is. And of course, now his C rank turned A rank mission is going wrong. Well, the turned A rank part could be counted as going wrong, not Naruto. What was really wrong was that he, Naruto, was stuck with the team, Sasuke, in an icy trap made by the masked ninja. His nose told him it was Haku from the forest, dodging senbon, those needle weapon things, from what seems like all sides. Yes, it was really, truly, wrong. He could see the needles speeding towards him, aiming to send him to his bloody pointy and surely pain-filled doom when Saw's team decided to play hero. What the hell? Why the heck did he do that? What the hell? He coulda dealt with it on his own. Really? So, again, why the fucking hell did he do that? When he voiced his thoughts, not quite as angry sounding as he'd hoped, but whatever, stupid Sasuke sprouted some lame brain reply. I don't know. Liar. How in the hell would the so-called rookie of the year not know why he had jumped in front of a lethal attack? Wait, lethal? Crappity crap crapper. He's dying. Fuck, and now he's muttering something about killing someone for revenge, surprisingly not Haku or something. He's got his priorities skewed if that's what he's thinking about when he's playing pincushion. Fuck, what? Now he's playing fountain. Frig. How the hell could he do that? How the hell could I let him do that? How the hell could Haku do that to the team? His anger shifted from Sasuke to himself until it settled on the masked nin hiding in those stupid mirrors of his mind flooding with rage. Naruto felt himself filled with a bubbling heat, fire pumping through his veins, making him feel stronger, everything coming into sharp focus. It was actually starting to hurt. Ow 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 ow. Stupid mist particles. No focus. Don't get distracted. Have to beat this guy so Sasuke can get some, maybe a lot, medical attention. Naruto could hear his heartbeat, weirdly enough it was slowing though. Damn it, that guy Kakashi-sensei's fighting needs to be dealt with too. Now how the hell am I supposed to go about this? Break these mirrors and punch this guy in the face. Then, while he's distracted, make a dozen or so clones and get half to Kakashi and have the rest circle you too. It made sense, so didn't stop to question the weird voice he was hearing from the back of his head, never mind the fact that he had a voice that was very obviously not his in his head. Shooting forwards toward where he felt the fake hunter nin was. Don't ask him how he felt it, he just did. He punched his way through it. Sadly enough it was only the icy mirror, so he pivoted and followed where he knew Haku escaped to, slamming out a burst of energy to speed himself up. Apparently it was a big burst, because he could hear it shatter the rest of the mirror's weight. Isn't that bad luck? Fuck, he got in front of Haku. Shoving out some more energy to strengthen his blow, he plowed his fist into and through Haku's mask. As he sailed through the air, seemed like he was doing it in slow motion kind of. Naruto quickly made 15 clones, sending 8 to help Kakashi-sensei, and having the rest surround him and the momentarily disoriented ninja. Knock him out and kill him quickly. I'm not killing him, whatever. Not sure if the strange almost girlish voice meant Haku or the sword guy. He had a few of his 7 clones pin Haku down and mentally told his other clones to knock out there and Kakashi's opponent. Betting to Haku, he couldn't help but ask why he did what he did. Haku ended up telling him about his old home, his family and how Zabuza saved him. Well, I didn't ask for his life story, but maybe after we finish Gatu, haha, cake they can come back with us to Konoha. Haku seemed to have noticed somehow that Zabuza was in trouble because he looked a little panicked and seemed to be preparing to break free. Knock him out already. I'm getting to it. Jeesh. Naruto tried not to think about the fact that he had a voice in his head telling him what to do and he was doing it. Slugging Haku in the face and knocking him out, he got one of his clones to tie him up, just in case, and left with the rest of his clones to help Kakashi and protect Izuna. Ouch, Naruto's eyes were seriously starting to sting like crazy, tearing up a little from it. His body was starting to achy and shaky too, so he picked up speed for his adrenaline rush, what else could it be, left him, and he started feeling his wounds from Haku again, before the fight was over. Saz team, you'd better be alright, I still owe you an ass kicking, you douchebag. The mist was clearing, allowing Naruto to see that only 2 of his clones were left with Kakashi. He looked a little teared but not life-threatening, and Zabuza was looking just about ready to keel over, but with way less wounds than Kakashi. Naruto used what mist was left to head around Zabuza, leaving 1 clone with Kakashi, 1 with Tazuna and Sakura, WTF. No friggin' injuries, and letting the rest dispel to get some chakra back. This also brought back some information. The clone he'd left with Haku and Sasuke had apparently, gently, moved both forms out of sight behind some equipment and noticed that a horde of thugs were heading their way, led by a little greasy old guy with a cane and a broken arm. Send a clone back there, henge into Haku, and play dead. Trusting the strange voice, and it was strange it could just as easily be male as female and was strangely husky, Naruto did just that, making some plans of his own from the voices. Kakashi said something about finishing this, and Naruto saw him start to collect crackling energy into his hand. Boy. Zabuza. What did you do if that cake guy wasn't paying you anymore, huh? Naruto half yelled, he would have yelled full out, but his throat was throbbing a little. Stupid brat, I wouldn't do anything. Killing the bridge builder won't be my job anymore. Kakashi wondered what Naruto was doing, first missing out at a perfect sneak attack, or he could have just not thought about it, you couldn't tell with Naruto, and now starting a conversation, distracting him from finishing Zabuza off. Sure, it was a smart move sending the clones, but maybe that was the limit. Zabuza was wondering along the same lines. Naruto hid his grin, not that hard to do actually, the throbbing in his throat had spread to encompass his mouth too. Hey, Kakashi-sensei, that would mean that we wouldn't have to fight this guy anymore, right? I guess, why? From the sidelines, Sakura yelled, Naruto, you idiot. Why would that matter? Naruto didn't get to reply because the mocking voice of whom he believed to be Gatu came from the unfinished end of the bridge. An. Will be short version because he's annoying, but otherwise parallel to an I'm. Well, came his smoke-rough voice, the demon of the mist getting beaten up by a bunch of kids. Ha. Seems like you aren't worth what you're charging me. Gatu, I'm handling this, Zabuza growled out. By this point, Gatu had walked far enough in to see Haku, giving a mini rant about how he was stupid and evil for breaking his arm, and spat and kicked Haku in the side. Naruto had to concentrate to keep the clone from going poof, and then from having his clone jump up and kick him. Seeming to remember himself, he looked at Zabuza with an annoyingly superior look and said, well, you see, you're getting to be just too expensive, so I'm going to have you killed. This was supported with a couple of chuckles from the mob of thugs behind him. Kakashi blinked, then looked at Zabuza. Are you sticking to what you said? Zabuza glared at Gatu as he kicked Haku's dead, for he must be, or else he would have been at his side earlier or retaliating now, form replying yeah, but now I have something else I need to do. He glanced sideways at Naruto. You'll have to pay for what you did to Haku later, kid, for now, pass me kunai. Naruto grinned and complied, saying I have nothing to pay for, adding you'll see when he got a glare from him. Zabuza shot forward, ripping through the thugs who got in the way of him and Gatu, ignoring spears and knives shoved into his body. When he finally got to Gatu, Naruto heard him say something about how in hell, well, he would fit right in, Gatu wouldn't. Naruto shot forward, the weird voice muttering that if he killed the cake guy that close to the edge, he'd fall in and die, either from drowning or from his wounds. He managed to grab the large mist nin before he fell, allowing his Haku clone to spell, and pulling the nearly unconscious Zabuza around the momentarily dumb-struck thugs to where his clone had told him he put Haku and Sasuke. When Zabuza's eyes widened seeing an obviously unconscious but breathing Haku, Naruto grinned and said see. Nothing to be sorry about. Zabuza just laughed when he got set down next to Haku in his and Sasuke's hidden position, allowing him to get some rest. Their happy little moment was shattered when the thugs came out of their stupor. What the hell? You just killed our meal ticket. Now we'll have to ransack the village. The chorus of S followed that statement, cut off when an arrow landed in front of them. We'll see about that, said the villagers, and same as in an I'm, long riding short, they get driven off. Afterwards. Brat, why the hell did you make everyone think Haku was dead? Geez, you'd think he'd be happier about Haku being alive, whatever, at least I know he cares if those tears earlier were anything to go by. It was to see if you were a good person, so anyway, since I've found that you're a caring jackass, how about coming to Konoha with us? Naruto was starting to wince, his eyes were hurting so badly. Zabuza just looked at him blankly. What? Well, I'm friends with old man Hokage, and I'm sure he'd let you in, even as a ninja, NGH, although he'll probably have to put you on probation for a little wince for a little while, since you're a missing nin and everything, but, it'd still be better than being on the run, fuck, wouldn't it? Kakashi looked up from working on Sasuke, both at what Naruto was saying and from how he was saying it. What he saw shocked him. Naruto was rubbing furiously at his eyes, knees curled up in a semi-fetal position, body jerking and twisting at random moments in obvious pain. "What's wrong, Naruto?" demanded Kakashi, eyes filled with worry. Haku just did some major, work on me, that's all," he said with an almost half grin. "I just don't get how he managed to get my eyes like this, that's some trick of his, frig, gotta remember to ask how he did this." "What, did he hit you in the eyes?" asked Zabuza, some concern showing through his tough exterior for the little brat offering him and Haku a home. Naruto couldn't help but notice the small leak of almost parental pride leaking into his voice. "No, that's why I'm, friggin' hell, curious, feels like a cross between having a major migraine and having some sort of mini blender going on inside of my eyes. Shit, this is annoying, can you make it stop already?" By this time both Sasuke and Haku were returning to the land of the living, Haku looking to Zabuza to see if he was okay, and Sasuke, after prying a crying Sakura's arms from him, took in the situation. He first noticed the dope, how could he not, when the dope seemed to be having an internal battle. Yes, even he could make sort of jokes, he'd never seen Naruto cry, nor cry out in pain, only in outrage, shock, annoyance, any reaction really, just not pain, yet here he was, tears streaming, body curled up and shuddering from pain. What happened? Before he could ask what happened and who did it, Kakashi turned to the brown-haired kid now next to Zabuza and asked, "What did you do?" Sasuke turned his patented Uchiha glare to the boy. "Whatever, boy, who done that to the dope?" Part of him was thinking, how dare he do that to the dope, well, another thought, where the hell did he get the power to do that, and yet another thought, what the hell did he do to Naruto to keep him down after a fight? That's not how it works with Naruto. With him, you beat him down and he gets up right away. So what the hell did he do to keep him down like this? And his last thought was, this boy is dead. The soon-to-be-dead boy, apparently having been filled in on the situation while Sasuke was having his somewhat mixed thoughts, said, "Whatever happened to Naruto? I don't have the skills to be able to do this to an enemy." "Well then, what's wrong with Naruto then? Do you know how to stop whatever's happening to him?" asked Kakashi. "Well, it could." Crack. They were interrupted when the sound came from Naruto. There was silence, then a hesitant Sakura asked Naruto. Naruto's eyes were tightly closed, tears still streaming, mouth open in what they assumed was a silent scream. All of Team 7 thought that was an improvement, that Naruto would be alright, since he's moved on from pain. He couldn't hold into pain, he could after all. Naruto didn't cry out from pain. He was also as stiff as a board, curled up still, at least until another crack broke its way through from his body. Both Kakashi and Zabuza recognized the sound now, Haku recognized it earlier, it was bones breaking. Naruto suddenly went lax, body limp on the unfinished bridge. Kakashi moved him onto his back, carefully removing his jacket and, after slight hesitation, starting to lift up his shirt, revealing his stomach, seal and all. Thankfully, Kakashi thought, Sasuke and Sakura won't know what it is, and neither do the Mist Nin. Oh, the seal was glowing, red chakra flowing on and around it. Before he could even think about how to explain it to the rest of the nin in the clearing, Naruto started screaming, sending a bolt of fear for the boy through everyone's chest. And you've probably already figured this out, but it's not Naruto's POV anymore, mainly because he's unconscious. The story'd be pretty boring if it was still his POV, wouldn't it? Naruto was being swamped with red chakra, it looked as if it was both pouring from him and trying to force its way into him. When he started jerking around, the two older ninja tried to get to him to hold him down, but the force from the red chakra pushed them back, giving them burns for their troubles. A series of sickening snapping sounds rang through the clearing, heard even over the whipping and crackling the red chakra, which seemed to now be burning Naruto himself, was making. Seriously starting to get scared for his student's life, all of them by now, Kakashi gathered his chakra around himself, hoping to be able to keep the burning red chakra off of himself with his own. He again tried to push his way through the barrier the chakra had made of itself, only to be thrown back towards his students. Through the red haze the chakra was making, Naruto seemed to be jerking around, looking as if he was sweating blood. No, Kakashi thought, gut churning, he isn't sweating blood, it's just that his skin's being burned off. Naruto could be clearly heard, howling out in pain over any other sound, sounding inhuman from the pain, back arching harshly, limbs twisted at angles not meant to be, blood streaming everywhere. Kakashi wasn't sure if his hair had been burned off or if it was matted to his head with blood, either way he made a grisly sight. Kakashi felt as if he was in a daze from fright and horror at what was happening to his student, what he was powerless to stop. No, this is not happening. Sasuke Pav, what? No, so much blood, what's wrong with the dope? Why is this happening to him? Sasuke was barely aware of anything that was happening outside of what was happening to Naruto. Barely aware that Sakura had thrown up in the bush beside him. Barely aware that Kakashi, Zabuza and Haku were fighting to get to the dope, barely even aware that his wounds were starting to bleed again, and he was shaking, there was just so much blood. There was a horrible ripping sound, and the red chakra seemed to swell, before it all condensed, pushing in around Naruto, thickening, until you could only see the barest outlines of his body. There was one last pain-filled cry from Naruto before the red chakra swelled a little, then absorbed back into his body. There was utter silence in the clearing, no one moving as they stared at the unmoving bloody shape of Naruto. Kakashi moved forward, looking a little green as he looked down at his bloody student, tears wetting his mask. Sakura sucked in a shuddering breath, tears streaming down her face, Sasuke sitting next to her looking to the side, anywhere but at his downed rival. Haku's eyes were narrowed slightly, pain obvious in his eyes. Zabuza put his hand on his shoulder, nudging him to look. Kakashi knelt down to his student, feeling for a pulse on his neck. After a minute his grim face lightened. There was a pulse, surprisingly strong pulse, but what mattered was that there was a pulse. He's alive, he said with a relieved sigh. Sakura shot forward, bawling her eyes out and grabbed Naruto to shake his form, only stopping when Sasuke got to them, then hugging him to her, giving a teary smile to Sasuke. She changed targets for her hugging, alternating between Kakashi and Sasuke, sticking with him when Kakashi picked up her teammate, blushing slightly when she realized that she had been hugging Naruto when he was naked, his clothes had burned off with everything else. At the house, after making Tazuna keep himself and his daughter and Inari stay back, not wanting to make them see Naruto in such a bloodied state, he moved Naruto to his room, asking for a lot of bandages and a tub of water with a washcloth. When he got what he asked for, he started washing the blood from him. He was really surprised to find that there wasn't anything to patch up underneath, the blood removed to reveal smooth tan flesh. When he finished with the worst of it, he couldn't do his hair, it had either grown back or hadn't been burned, but either way he had it and it was matted with blood. He did a checkup on him to see if everything was working as it should. When he poked and prodded him, he felt that everything was where it should be, there didn't seem to be any muscle damage, though he felt like a soft rock, and, after remembering what a fuss Naruto had been making about his eyes, peeled them back to check them out. He almost recoiled from shock. In the place of his usual expressive blue eyes, there were violet eyes, well, not entirely violet. Giving a second look, he took in more detail, the violet faded into Naruto's usual blue just around his pupil, which had become slitted, and around the edge of his iris, still inside of it though, the violet went red, darkening around the very edge. Now that he had recovered from his shock, he actually found that it seemed to suit him a little better, giving him a more exotic look. It helped that it was actually mesmerizing the way it all blended together. He put his PJs on him and let everyone in the room, half enjoying the shock they had of seeing him without a scratch on him. Just what was happening to Naruto? He'd get his answers when he woke up, that's for sure. Naruto was in pain, well, not exactly in pain, but the only other way to describe how he felt was that he was in ache. Like a mix between that healing bruise ache and the I just trained my ass off ache. But that just sounds strange, so he'd just say he was in pain. Ow. His limbs felt as if they were made of lead, or at least some sort of extremely heavy material, and he had an itch. This itch was on his nose, like many itches seem to be, and it seemed to be there because his hair was touching it, since when was his hair that long? It felt like his hair had been matted with something earlier when he was semi-conscious, like he was now, but either he had imagined it or someone washed it out. Maybe it just fell off. Oh well, back to the matter at hand. Well, not at hand, since he couldn't really move his arms well, it felt like he hadn't tried yet. Okay, 1, 2, 3, ugh, nope, can't move. When he did find a way to scratch his nose, he'd have to rub at his eyes too, they were all tingly, like well he didn't know what it was like, it wasn't bad, just different. It was like well he didn't know what it was like, but it was a sensation that felt like it should be rubbed at, like that stupid itch on his stupid nose. Maybe if he just, rolled over, ugh there, now I can rub my nose into the sheet. There, one crisis over with. Now if he could only do the same with his eyes, but the rub they needed couldn't be done with a sheet. The only time he'd felt a need to rub at his eyes like this was that time on the bridge. Naruto suddenly remembered all that had happened, the team being stupid, getting himself injured, that horrible rage that overcame him, the stinging, the aching and the voice, the weird male yet feminine or female yet masculine voice that had suggested no more like told him what to do, and he did it. Wait. The team. Where is he? Is he alright? Is he dead? He knew Sakura was alright, not one scrape, geez, but what about the team? And Kakashi-sensei? A new sense of purpose overcame him, worry for his friend's teammates pushing him to move, despite the fact that he felt as movable as a mountain, moving first one arm, then the other, cracking open his eyes while pushing his legs underneath himself, fully intending to go demand answers from the first person he saw. There was a haze of red over his vision, but it left as he pushed his hair out of his face. He paused for a moment when he noticed the surrealness of the room well, not the room per se, but just the way it looked, and even then it wasn't the way it looked, just the way it looked to him. Everything was in sharp focus, causing his eyes to hurt a little as he saw more detained in the chair across the room than he usually noticed, hell, more than he wanted to notice, making the room tilt. Kakashi walked in as he flopped back onto the bed, rubbing a hand over his eyes. Kakashi paused just inside of the doorway at the sound, chuckling softly when he recognized the groans as Naruto doing something that didn't agree with his body. Naruto opened his eyes and frowned when he saw Kakashi, and normally that isn't how he would respond to seeing him, seeing as how he was majorly worried about him a few seconds earlier. He was splotchy, or at least the spots dancing in front of his eyes make him look as if he was covered in marks, some red, some whitish, a few glowing black. He rubbed at his still tingling eyes a moment, hoping to make the spots go away. Looking again, he noticed they didn't. Focusing on Kakashi as he made his way to him, carrying a bowl of soup, his frown deepened. The spots weren't dancing around as they were supposed to, they were staying on the same points on him. Great, another thing that's going wrong when it comes to me, he sighed and rubbed at his eyes some more, Kakashi taking note of it, eyes lingering on the slight changes to his usual look. How had that happened? Was it a result of? How are you feeling, Naruto? Are your eyes okay? Seem to be bothering you? Yeah, I'm feeling alright, was a little dizzy earlier, but now I'm just seeing weird spots. How so? Kakashi asked somewhat distractedly, lost in his thoughts about what had happened. You know how those weird spots usually dance around your vision, cutting off stuff? Naruto said in between gulps of soup. Yeah, well, these spots aren't dancing. They're sticking to you in the same spots. Even as you move. It's annoying the hell out of me. I can still see clearly, but it looks kinda like someone sprayed you with some splotches of glowish stuff, Naruto continued, still rubbing at his eyes. Really? Yeah, Naruto replied, getting a little annoyed at Kakashi's lack of interest of something that was clearly bugging him, and he was the one to bring up the subject of his eyes in the first place. Seeing a particularly bright red spot on Kakashi's shoulder, he jabbed at it, adding some chakra to add more force. Spots like here. Kakashi jumped up with a moan, panting slightly as he really looked at him, small shudders running down his spine from what Naruto had just done. It hadn't hurt, it felt amazing actually, and he poked one of those spots he's seeing. Yes, he was listening, just thinking of something else. What did you just do, Naruto? Tell me right now exactly what you did, demanded Kakashi. Naruto, a little confused about the reaction he'd gotten from giving the poke and a little worried from his sensei's expression, said I just poked you on one of the spots. I added a little chakra, so it hurt a little more than a normal poke, but really, it's your own fault. Why the hell did you ask me if I was okay if you weren't going to pay attention? Oh. And how's Sasuke? How are you? What happened? And Naruto, who started off looking to the side, a serious and focused Kakashi, was a little unnerving. Okay. Had remembered, again, that he had been knocked out and therefore had no idea what had happened and had crawled his way towards Kakashi-sensei at least until his hand had slipped on the covers on the bed, making him overbalance onto the floor. Naruto saw Kakashi give his version of a smile, eye turning into that upside down U, and a thoughtful look. Why the hell does he have to think about whether or not he and Sasuke are alright? Either you or aren't. Thought Naruto with a frown, righting himself and climbing back onto the bed. I think. Naruto gave him a look that clearly said hurry up, you have a bloodline. What the hell? Stop trying to distract me. You must be okay if you can be like this, but what about Sasuke? He was playing pincushion last time I saw him. Oh. And what about Haku and Zabuza? Are they here? Are they coming to Konoha with us? Kakashi just sighed. I'm okay, Sasuke's okay, you can see him in a minute, you can also see Haku and Zabuza in a minute and ask them yourselves, and I wasn't trying to distract you, I really do think you have a bloodline trait. And how do you figure that? Naruto demanded, interrupting him. Sai, how about I just show you? And with that he grabbed Naruto's arm and pulled him across the room to stand in front of a mirror. Naruto thought, why didn't I notice that before? Naruto was dumbstruck. Why hadn't he noticed it before? Oh, wait, he had noticed a red haze over his vision. It wasn't really over his vision, it was on his head. His hair was still blonde somewhat. It was blonde at the roots anyway. His usually blonde locks darkened into a deep red at the tips, the very tips, he noticed, darkened so much it looked like black, leaving about 1.5 inches of blonde at his scalp. Well, he was noticing everything else about his hair. Gah. I'm going to start sounding like Sasuke soon, he confirmed something he'd noticed earlier. It had apparently grown about 1 inch or so, now touching down to his shoulders, and that meant that the majority of his hair was now red. What the hell, now my hair looks sunburned. His bangs, now slightly in his eyes from their length, also brushed his cheeks. His whisker-like marks on his cheeks looked darker, even more like whiskers. Whoa, the small exclamation drew his attention to something else different, something that he definitely didn't have before whatever happened did. He had fangs. Not just pointier than normal canines but fangs. They didn't hang over his lip like some old vampire movie or anything, but they were still seriously long and sharp. Reaching up a hand to check them out, please be fake, please be fake, please be fake. He accidentally cut his thumb and index finger on the tip. They were really real, damn it. He looked down his body to see if anything else was different, anything else was changed and unfamiliar. His body was maybe a little harder with muscle. Now that he thought about it, he felt more refreshed and flexible than he ever did, a little buffer, and maybe he was a little taller, maybe taller than the team. Ha. That's going to bug him if the way his PJs were a little too short. Nothing too different. He brought his eyes back up to the mirror to check out his hair again when he caught sight of something that froze him his eyes. I was thinking of ending it there, but I figured no, it wouldn't be the best idea. His eyes had to be the biggest change, well, aside from his hair, and he didn't know what to think about it. They were purple. Purple and slitted like a cat's eyes, but purple. Freaked out, Naruto grabbed the sides of the mirror, the hopefully defective mirror, and brought it as close to his face as he could, hoping, just hoping, that, no, his eyes weren't purple. He was simply seeing it wrong. His eyes were simply a different shade, yeah, that's right, a different shade of blue that they usually were. But no, his eyes weren't fooling him, they were still purple, but wait, wasn't that blue around the iris? Or was he just seeing what he wanted to see? No, it really was blue. Only a little bit of blue, but it was there. Yeah. Not entirely different. He quickly checked the rest of the iris for any more familiarity, but only noticed one other thing different. The edge of his iris was a ring of red, bleeding into the purple like the blue was. It was a glowing kind of red, reminding him of cooling embers in a fire. So basically, from outside in, it's red, fading into purple, fading into blue. That's around his newly slit pupil. Great. All in all, he was normal looking until you looked at his head. Frig. It wasn't as if he particularly disliked purple, it's just different. He had conflicting feelings about it being the color his bloodline made his eyes. On one hand, he had some sort of a bloodline. But it could also be some belated gene DNA thing kicking in late. On another hand, even if it was some belated gene DNA thingy, purple eyes were distracting in a fight. But at the same time, how friggin' scary is purple? Nothing scary is purple, flowers are purple, not scary, eggplant is purple, only scary to little kids, Barney's purple, and while he's a dinosaur, he's about as scary as a butterfly, heck, some butterflies are purple. And on yet another hand, Naruto couldn't help but check to make sure he only had two. Having a bloodline would probably make people in the village stop giving him such cold looks, wouldn't it? But then again, did he really want people giving him weird looks? Well, at this point, he really didn't have a choice in the matter. He could dye his hair back to blonde, but the dyes they used stunk, and he didn't want to have to repeatedly do it, and would dye really work? Naruto was yanked from his thoughts, literally, when Sakura barged into the room, Sasuke behind her, and flung her arms around his neck. Before he could really comprehend the fact that his crush was hugging him, she backed off and smacked him across the head. Well tried to. He managed to duck from her swing in time, she seemed slower somehow. He couldn't dodge her yelling though. Naruto, you idiot. Why are you out of bed? You should be resting. She shoved back onto the bed. You're risking your health just to look in the mirror. You just don't think Abu Sakura suddenly cut herself off. She had seen his hair before, she had been the one to wash out the blood from his hair when Kakashi didn't, but not his eyes. Two thoughts occurred to her at that moment. So pretty, and is that a bloodline trait? And then she went off into a daze, thinking of all the things that it might mean, hardly noticing the heat flooding her stomach while she stared at his eyes. Sasuke, wondering what got Sakura to shut up, he couldn't even get her to do that, moved around her, noticing the dobe's new hair like he did not every time he came into the room, and almost immediately noticing his eyes. They weren't his usual blue, but purple, but still managed to send the feathery not fluttery, itches don't flutter at with to anything feeling in his chest. Vaguely thinking a bloodline maybe. But not a bloodline better than his, for sure. He met the dobe's questioning gaze, immediately feeling the feathery feeling in his chest melt to form a familiar heat in his stomach. What the? Kakashi smiled as he saw his pink and raven-haired students blush, his slight suspicion after that poke confirmed, smothering a giggle as it tried to bubble past his lips. As two of his students questioned his third about what had happened to him, and his third questioned back just as much, he couldn't help but think, well, he isn't known as Konoha's most surprising ninja for nothing. I wonder how he's going to work it to his advantage. I could think of a few good uses, but not in combat. Dabuza and Haku made their way into the room after Naruto was filled in on what happened and heard what he had to say about what happened. Kakashi was amused to see that apparently Naruto's eyes had the same effect on the Chunin as on his students and himself. He was curious to see if it worked on everybody or just those who knew him for a while. You mean you don't remember practically blowing up? exclaimed Sakura in a shock-filled voice. Nope, although from the way you described it, I can't say I'm sorry about it. Last thing I remember is Zabuza giving me a weird look when I said that they should come to Konoha with us. By the way, will you? Zabuza had nearly forgotten about it. He'd mentioned it to Haku, but aside from saying that it seemed okay, they hadn't really come to a conclusion. Although, seeing Naruto conscious and like this, he had a good idea about what he wanted to do. Meeting Haku's eyes, he saw the same answer in them. Sure kid, we'll go to Konoha with you. Naruto's eyes lit up, giving a fox-like grin and shouted yeah. Kakashi gave his version of a smile, and Sakura just shook her head with a smile and a small blush at her teammate's antics. Sasuke just rolled his eyes, huffing and turning away to hide his tiny blush. Kakashi suspected. Just then Inari barged into the room, apparently alerted to Naruto's consciousness by his yell, and launched himself at Naruto's form still sitting on the bed from when Sakura barged in. Naruto did a lot of boasting about how he was alright and how nothing could keep him down to Inari's anxious questions. Are you sure? You were carried and all bloodied up and everything. The SH, as if that could keep me down. I'm alright now, believe it. I'm serious. I feel better than I ever have before. As everyone relaxed, the subject of what to do about Naruto's bloodline, he tried to tell them his hopeful theory about it being belated gene DNA stuff and they ignored him and how to figure out what it did. Naruto wanted to know if he'd ever get his eyes back more, but they ignored him. They were planning to have him try softly hitting the spots to see what each color did on one of them and then on each of them. If the first experiment proved that it wasn't too damaging, Naruto tried to protest about doing it, but they ignored him and Naruto couldn't help but notice the weird twinkle in Kakashi-sensei's eye when they said that. They all, Naruto's opinion wasn't heard, agreed that after they figured out what it did, that he should start integrating it into his fighting style. Naruto noticed the twinkle again and Kakashi chuckled the nerve. Eventually it was decided that Kakashi would be the first guinea pig, seeing as how he'd already been hit with it. Naruto pointed out that it was just a poke. They all headed out that afternoon while Tazuna went to the bridge. Naruto sent clones, Kakashi choosing the clearing where he, for lack of a better word, changed. Sasuke and Sakura still say he pretty much exploded. Naruto gaped when they reached their destination. It was a mess. Tree branches scattered round the clearing, some of the greenery looking a little charred, and close to the left of the clearing was a giant crater, the earth seeming to have been blown away from the center, which was the most scorched spot, some parts even glassy from the heat, and for those who don't know Earth, when heated to extreme temperatures, makes glass. Sasuke and Sakura didn't help his shock by saying, both in their own ways, told you so, you exploded, so there. Kakashi moved to a less damaged area of the clearing, motioning Naruto to face him. Now then. You said earlier that you're seeing three main colors. Red, black and white, right? Yeah, although now that I'm looking carefully, the white's more like a really bright red, kind of like how the fires in a blacksmith's work area's fires will go almost white when they get really hot. But otherwise, yeah, it's pretty much white, so what? Do I just poke you in a red spot, see what that does, then do the same for white and black? Pretty much. Let's start. I'll tell you what each felt like after you've done each. For now, let's go in the order you just said. Let's start with red, with no chakra, then with chakra. Try out different ways to hit the spot, like harder, softer, whatever. Naruto, feeling a little unsure of himself, poked him the same red splotch he had earlier, watching as a little blush make its way above his mask. Are you okay, sensei? You're getting a little red. Kakashi just nodded for him to continue. Naruto then tried hitting him hard, then soft on that same spot. He noticed that all the spots were getting a little brighter, well, the black darker, and next tried brushing it, both hard and soft. Kakashi continued to get redder, shifting a little. Naruto was thinking that apparently whatever his bloodline did, it was uncomfortable. He tried a number of things, including poking him repeatedly. He heard a sort of laughter from their audience, dragging his nails against the area, even attacking the area surrounding the red area. After he couldn't think of anything else to do, he told Kakashi that he was moving on to using his chakra. He tried everything he did prior at least twice, using less or more chakra, being sure to tell Kakashi, and trying to get his chakra to soften or harden the hit. When he was done, Kakashi was panting slightly and he was very obviously red in the face. Are you okay, sensei? Do you need a break or something? Kakashi just waved him off, panting slightly and muttering a later when he was questioned what the number of touches were doing. Zabuza suddenly gave off a bark of laughter, giving Kakashi a knowing look, which he returned. He also waved off explaining why he was laughing, except saying that he thought he knew what his bloodline allowed him to do. The entire process was repeated through the white spots, Naruto choosing a white area on the palm of Kakashi's hand. When asked how many of each there were, he replied with red is the most, and they're mainly small spots with some larger ones, then it's white, that seemed to be in only specific areas. Naruto blushingly admitted that they were mainly in the more private areas, but a few other areas that were scattered around. He continued, saying that there were less black spots than either red or white and seemed to be in very specific areas. By the end of the white spot session, everyone was sitting down, Kakashi's legs having let out beneath himself at one point, Kakashi was panting heavier, and Zabuza kept chuckling anytime Kakashi gave a loud response. Naruto tried again to get Kakashi to take a break, but was waved off again. Haku, Sakura, and Sasuke were shocked. Haku was starting to suspect what the bloodline was doing, but couldn't get his mind around it. How could that possibly be a bloodline? I'm happy with mine, just fine thanks. Sakura was amazed, Naruto, through his new bloodline, had brought their sensei to his knees. How'd he do that? And how did she not read up on anything like this before? The only thing even remotely like this is the Byakugan, and no Hyuga was blonde. Things just didn't match up. Maybe a new bloodline, but how'd he do it? Maybe what he was saying earlier was true, maybe there once was a bloodline like this a couple hundred years ago, and Naruto picked it up in his DNA. Maybe it's just been dormant this whole time, but that still doesn't explain the lack of information on it. All bloodlines in the village are recorded. Sasuke was feeling a little torn. He was a little amazed at what Naruto's bloodline was capable of, but all the same, Sharingan was still better. Sure, Naruto had managed to bring Kakashi to his knees, but in a fight, it wasn't likely that the opponent was just going to stand there and let you poke them repeatedly. For some reason, he also felt a little jealous, no, not of Naruto, he just said Sharingan was better, but of Kakashi. He didn't look in pain at all, another reason why Sharingan was better, but he seemed to be enjoying it. It was very obvious that whatever Naruto's bloodline let him do wasn't terribly dangerous, so why didn't Naruto try testing out on someone else? Since it didn't seem like it did anything bad, he'd be fine helping his teammate test out his abilities. While they were at it, Naruto could also help him out with his own bloodline, maybe even letting him copy his clone jutsu in exchange for one of his fire jutsu. It was an even trade. Help with your bloodline for help with mine. A jutsu of yours for one of mine. Yeah, and Kakashi could let someone else know what the hell Naruto's bloodline did. I bet I could help Naruto's bloodline training more than he could. Sasuke ignored the fact that he'd probably be learning about his own bloodline from Kakashi. While all of these thoughts were darting around his friends' heads, Naruto was trying to get Kakashi to take a break. Look, there's only so much poking a person can take, and you seem to be at your limit. Just take a break already. Sigh Naruto, you only have one other spot color to go through. I'll take a break when we're done, and I'll know if you hold back, so let's continue already. Naruto just shook his head in frustration, picking out a glowing black spot to be his next poking victim. After saying fine, but I never hold back, believe it. Naruto attacked the spot with vigor, starting off as they had previously, without chakra. Kakashi noticed a difference between this kind of spot as he had noticed a difference between the other two. Where the white had been an amplified version of the red, the black seemed to be a reverse reaction of the both of them. He felt the effects of the previous poking slipping away, even quicker when Naruto added chakra. The particularly hard chakra-filled touch felt like someone had flicked a switch too off inside of him, and he stopped Naruto suddenly when the following poke made his insides lurch. Ha! I told you you needed a break. Boo Nuo, you didn't listen. So next Naruto, I just figured out what the black marks were. It's like your way to reverse what the other two do. Oh, and the white spots are pretty much enhanced versions of the red spots. Well, that's good to know, but what the hell does it do? How am I supposed to figure out a way to use it if I don't know what I'm aiming to do? Kakashi admitted privately that he had a point. Oh well, it'd still be fun to see his reaction. Zabuza cut in before he could start to answer, is it what I think it is? Yup. Ha. It's funny that an ability like that is given to him. Ignoring Naruto's indignant hey, Kakashi informed him, well, you'll soon find out that he's known to be the #1 surprising ninja Konoha. Yeah, I can believe that, but heh, to have him of all people get that kind of ability makes you wonder a little. Ha. Will someone fill us in please? Asked an annoyed and confused Sakura. Come on. Tell what my bloodline does already. Kakashi smiled, well. Naruto leaned forward, eyes focused solely on Kakashi. You know the spots you say you can see? Yeah, Naruto was so focused on Kakashi he only vaguely felt Sasuke aiming his death glare at Kakashi. He assumed it was because he was making them wait. Sasuke's thoughts. I know Kakashi's going to say what his bloodline is, but does Naruto have to focus on him like that? Why didn't I volunteer to be the guinea pig? Well, they, allow you to see. Other people's, They're what? Other people's what? Kakashi paused for effect. Naruto, who had been hanging off his every word, waited, hardly daring to breath. Kakashi grinned, enough that you could see it through his mask, and finally said, you can see other people's erogenous zones. TBC. Wahaha. Hopefully that ending got a few smiles, weird looks, but there. After an entire, or at least 3/4 chapter talking about the bloodline, here it is at the end. And here's a preview of the next chapter. What? Naruto squeaked. His eyes had become increasingly large, blood leaving his face, leaving him pale against the reddened tips of his hair. Yup. They're erogenous zones. Congratulations. The red and white spots turn people on, and the black spots do the opposite. It only took Naruto a second before everything sunk in. What? You mean that the big thing that my bloodline can do is turn people on? Yup. And I'm curious how you're going to use it in your fighting style. I admit I can't really think of a combat use for this skill. Do you mean that you can't even think of a way this could be useful in a fight? Well, I guess you could use it to distract your opponents. Hokage knows that's a distraction in a fight. Enough. I don't want to hear that. Regardless of what you want to hear, I expect you to start training with it. I'd be happy to help. And I expect you to be thinking about other uses for it. Wouldn't want a talent like that be put to waste. And with an entirely too cheerful look on his face, he waved and walked off, Zabuza and Haku following, Zabuza laughing to himself and Haku giving him a slightly worried look. Sasuke and Sakura looked at Naruto, seeing he flopped himself down and was looking at his hands with a slightly horrified expression. Sakura reached out hesitantly, resting her hand on his shoulder and giving him a little shake. Naruto. Are you okay? Your bloodline's not that bad really, it isn't. Well actually it is pretty bad in the sense that it's perverted but she was cut off by Naruto mumbling something. He said it again, but louder when she said what? My hands, they. Oh, what about your hands? Nothing wrong with them. Sasuke privately thought they're very nice hands, I touched them in a minute do, and if they touched me, but he was brought out of his thoughts when wide violet eyes looked up and met his own, flicking between his and Sakura's eyes. My hands I just spit it out already dope. Naruto finally let it loose. I just got Kakashi-sensei turned on. How the hell am I supposed to react to the fact that he let me? Neither of his teammates had an answer for him. This is unfair, thought Naruto as he finished getting his bags packed for the trip the next day. Tazuna had finished the bridge and they were going to leave tomorrow morning. This, at once, was a blessing and a curse for Naruto. He still hadn't thought of a way for his unique bloodline to be used. After an entire week or so of fighting with Sakura, Kakashi, Zabuza, Haku, and the team, he seemed to have fought with him. The most Saw's team was probably trying to make it, so he was immune to it or something. He had only found that it could be used for combat purposes in the most minimal ways. He could make a person's legs give out from under them, fancy way of saying he could make them weak in the knees, Kakashi called it jelly legs or something like that, make them disoriented after a few minutes of poking, and was now very good at being able to give massive nosebleeds, even bigger than the sexy jutsu. But this even worked on Sakura. No matter where he poked a person, except for the black spots, it was just a matter of how much chakra and what way in the spotlight was easiest though. Haku had helped him a lot with his aim, even though it seemed to have gotten better by itself, or maybe it was just from the bloodline thing. And how to integrate his bloodline into his fighting style. It might have been because Haku's style depended mainly on being able to hit an opponent in a certain spot to be able to do major damage with his senbon, but Naruto could now use it being his bloodline easily in fighting hell. He now didn't even need to see the spots, it was like he could feel them and know how much of an effect they would have, how much chakra would be needed to make the full effect, and how to mold his chakra, sharp, smooth, fuzzy, etc. to get an even better effect. This feel almost felt like sight or sound, almost a mixture of the two, but it also seemed like it added something else he didn't know what, but it certainly helped him become adapted instant nosebleeds. The good part about leaving the next day was that, as Kakashi-sensei had told him, he wouldn't be able to work on his bloodline much, and Naruto saw that as being given a break. It would also mean that he'd be able to figure out how the hell he could really use his bloodline as a ninja. Kakashi had told him about his worries about what the council and the village would think of his new bloodline. Kakashi had taken him aside the day he had told him what he had found his bloodline to be, after dinner, that is, Naruto had had a small freak out about his bloodline after he had been told what it did. Flashback. Naruto just stared at Kakashi for a moment. What? Naruto squeaked. His eyes had become increasingly large, blood leaving his face, leaving him pale against the reddened tips of his hair. Yup. They're erogenous zones. Congratulations. The red and white spots turn people on, and the black spots do the opposite. It only took Naruto a second before everything sunk in. What? You mean that the big thing that my bloodline can do is turn people on? Yup. And I'm curious how you're going to use it in your fighting style. I admit I can't really think of a combat use for this skill. Do you mean that you can't even think of a way this could be useful in a fight? Well, I guess you could use it to distract your opponents. Hokage knows that's a distraction in a fight. Enough. I don't want to hear that. Regardless of what you want to hear, I expect you to start training with it. I'd be happy to help. And I expect you to be thinking about other uses for it. Wouldn't want a talent like that be put to waste. And with an entirely too cheerful look on his face, he waved and walked off, Zabuza and Haku following, Zabuza laughing to himself and Haku giving him a slightly worried look. Sasuke and Sakura looked at Naruto, seeing he flopped himself down and was looking at his hands with a slightly horrified expression. Sakura reached out hesitantly, resting her hand on his shoulder and giving him a little shake. Naruto. Are you okay? Your bloodline's not that bad really, it isn't. Well actually it is pretty bad in the sense that it's perverted but she was cut off by Naruto mumbling something. He said it again, but louder when she said what? My hands, they. Oh, what about your hands? Nothing wrong with them. Sasuke privately thought they're very nice hands, I'd touch them in a minute too, and if they touched me, but he was brought out of his thoughts when wide violet eyes looked up and met his own, flicking between his and Sakura's eyes. My hands I just spit it out already dope. Naruto finally let it loose. I just got Kakashi-sensei turned on. How the hell am I supposed to react to the fact that he let me? Neither of his teammates had an answer for him. Small time skip after dinner. When Kakashi asked for a little talk with him, the first thing Naruto did was hide his hands behind his back and say I'm not touching you, you pervert. To his annoyance, Kakashi just smiled and motioned him to follow, walking out the door and heading to the edge of the forest. Curious despite himself, Naruto followed, vowing to himself that he wouldn't go past the edge of the forest. But his vow wasn't needed because Kakashi just turned to him when he got to where he was at, making no move to head deeper into the forest. Naruto, you need to find a use for your bloodline, a really good one at that. Nuo, really, you don't think I know that? Naruto couldn't help but think. I'm serious Naruto, I know you already know about the fox, so what do you think the council and the village will think of your bloodline? They'll probably think the fox was the cause of it and demand for your execution. Naruto was shocked into silence, his mind scrambling to find something to disprove what his teacher was saying. When he could find nothing, he couldn't help but ask well, what makes you think it isn't the fox? I mean, it might be the fox, but aside from your looks and this new ability of yours, Kakashi grinned here, but even if it was the fox, there's no way for the fox to have made a bloodline out of nothing, if in fact it is the fox's doing, he couldn't have made it out of nothing, it would have to have taken something from your genes and tweaked it to make it what it is, maybe your stamina, a family trait, anything. But that's nothing to worry about right now, we have about a week and a half or so left until the bridge is done. You have that time to get used to your bloodline and for you to figure out something that your bloodline can do to be properly useful in a ninja village. If it's something good and it benefits the village, the council won't be able to do anything to you. So find something, anything, more that your bloodline can do. Any way you look at it, it helps. And with that, he ruffled his hair and led him back to the house. Then flashback, so here he was, getting ready for bed now and trying not to think about the bad parts about leaving the next morning. Trying not to think about the stares from the villagers when he walks through the village, or that he would probably end up being poked and prodded because he had a new bloodline, as Kakashi had warned him, or that he only had what was left of today and the 2 days of traveling to get to Konoha left to figure out how his bloodline could be useful to the village, other than in a whorehouse that is. Quickly brushing his teeth and putting on his slightly too small PJs, including his nightcap which was thankfully not too small, Naruto dodged around Sasuke as he headed to the bathroom himself and flopped into bed. Sasuke's been acting weirder than his usual emo self, wonder what that's about, and Sasuke had been acting weird, aside from the increase in their sparring to help train with their bloodlines, he went out of his way to make him annoyed, more so than usual at least, and the team couldn't seem to look at him in the eyes without going red. This was found out along with the fact that he kept on staring at him, the bastard, maybe he was sick. The thought that he couldn't look him in the eyes brought Naruto to 2 other thoughts, 1, which Sakura couldn't seem to look him in the eye without going red either, and 2, that his eyes had gone back to normal the day before. The second thought was a happier one than the first, so Naruto focused on it as he tried to get to sleep, knowing that he'd eventually start thinking about the first otherwise. Glancing in the mirror that was still in the room he and the team shared, he was cheered to see his bright blue eyes staring back. He had felt the tingly feeling in his eyes return right before he headed in for the night and had glanced in the mirror like he was doing now. He hadn't, at first anyway, noticed anything different, but that didn't last long until a giant grin spread across his face. He even ignored the fangs peeking at him from his own mouth, hollering for his sensei and teammates. When they got to the door, he opened his eyes as wide as he could and pointed to them, trying to get them to make a connection as fast as possible. He quickly told them about how his eyes had tingled, adding that it was the same feeling as the time on the bridge, but stopping quicker. They hadn't been quite as excited as he was, but they were cheered at his enthusiasm, giving him smiles, a smirk in one case. Kakashi had made him try to get his eyes, should probably make a name for it, huh? The comeback Naruto could now turn his eyes on and off at will, never mind the fact that that was essentially what his eyes allowed him to do to other people. That train of thought was at its end, and Naruto couldn't think of anything else to add to it, except for maybe that he was kind of starting to sort of get used to accept the fact that his bloodline was a perverted one, and Naruto resigned himself to the fact that he'd end up thinking about Sakura's behavior towards him with a sigh. Sasuke happened to have walked in at that time and gave him an inquiring look, to which Naruto just shook his head and stretched out on the bed, raising his shirt slightly to scratch his stomach and rolling his eyes as the team looked away, red in the face again. What was his problem? Probably jealous because of my awesome physique, Sasuke's mind. Wow. Skin. I just want to lick that tattoo, insert blush, and Sasuke mentally hitting himself, After a week of getting turned on by Naruto on purpose, you can't expect him not to be affected XD. Anyway, Sakura had been treating him weirdly too. She also avoided his eyes and went red in the face for reasons he couldn't think of, and she kept touching him for no reason, not that he was complaining of course. She touched his arm when she already had his attention. Her foot and/or leg always touched his leg at least twice under the table during dinner. He had at first thought it was Sasuke kicking him under the table. He had mentioned that the team went out of his way to annoy him now, but when he had sent chakra to his foot and hit where he felt there was a white spot, it was Sakura who had blushed, not Sasuke. So he didn't bother her about it anymore, letting her do whatever she wanted to do with her feet and legs under the table, so long as she didn't hit any place to lick it under there. What he didn't know was that after that time, Sasuke had brushed against him, and, when he didn't get kicked for it, he had joined Sakura in her brushing against Naruto. So all in all, Naruto was being treated differently by both his teammates. At least he didn't have to worry about that with Kakashi-sensei. He had made it his mission to make perverted comments about his bloodline and just teasing him overall, and he could deal with that. He could deal with teasing, it was out in the open, and he knew from it what was on his teacher's perverted mind. He couldn't deal with his friends treating him oddly and being silent about it. Sure, they still talked to him and everything, but it was the subtle touches, the fact that they wouldn't meet his eye, that was what bugged him. Glancing at the clock, Naruto was startled to find that it was well into the night, a little after midnight. Listening intently, he noticed that his already sharp hearing was even better. He could hear the steady breathing of Sasuke and Sakura in the next room over. He could also hear the soft snores of Kakashi and Zabuza, as well as the soft breathing of Inari's mom and Haku's half-asleep breath. He knew Haku would be awake in a second if anything was wrong, next to Zabuza. He searched for Inari's breathing, finding it a moment later, but not the way he thought he would. Inari was awake and tiptoeing his way towards Sasuke and his room. I wonder what he wants. When he heard Inari get to his door, he closed his eyes and pretended to sleep, evening out his breath and relaxing his body. If he wants me awake, he'll knock. If he's trying to be sneaky, he'll slip inside and do whatever it is he wants to do. He heard his door open and Inari crept into the room, holding his breath. Inari slowly made his way towards his bed, where he looked, to Inari at least, to be sleeping. When he got in front of him, Naruto focused on making his breath as even as he could, shift a little as if in sleep, lazily rub his stomach. Inari didn't do anything for a minute, just standing in front of him. Naruto wondered what he was doing here. He almost jumped when he felt a hand on his cheek, moving to trace where he knew his whisker marks were. What the hell is with all the touching? Naruto wasn't quite used to touch. He had been pretty much on his own when he was little, and Naruto's experience with touch went from accidental to someone ruffling his hair to the required contact to fight, punches, kicks, etc. So the sudden amount of people touching him just because was making him a little uncomfortable, more like freaked out. Inari's hand had moved from his cheek to tracing his features and was making its way to his hair. Naruto could feel heat trying to creep up his cheeks, why, he'd never know, and fought it down. Inari was running his fingers through his hair now, shifting closer to the bed now, and Naruto, slightly freaked out, shifted so he was more on his stomach. Inari paused, his hands still buried in his blonde to red locks, and when Naruto didn't make any more movements, continued with his petting. There was no other way for Naruto to describe it, moving so both of his hands were buried in his hair, stroking through his locks. Naruto was starting to feel really freaked out at this. What the hell is he doing? Why the hell is he doing this? What the hell? And when Inari gave a slight pull on his hair, Naruto pretended to start waking up, shifting a little and scrunching up his eyes. Inari grabbed his hands back with a gasp and froze. Naruto rubbed at his eyes a little as he rolled onto his back, adding to his little act, giving Inari some time to think up an excuse for being there. He was freaked out by what he did, but he didn't dislike the little guy. When he propped himself on an elbow and sleepily looked at Inari, giving a groggy what? He mentally applauded his performance. When Inari started stuttering something, Naruto focused on him, but remembered to blink sleepily a few times and saw he was in his own PJs, looking down with a blush on his face. Naruto admitted that if he had been doing what Inari had been doing, he'd blush too, fiddling with his hands. Inari seemed to have come up with an excuse by the look on his face. I had a nightmare, and I was wondering Naruto thought that this way of speaking reminded him of someone from his class, but who was it again? Oh well, unimportant right now. Inari seemed to be having an issue with getting out what he was wondering, so Naruto gave an encouraging yes, but Inari just flushed a deeper shade of red. At least I thought it was encouraging. Before Naruto could think of anything else to say, Inari seemed to calm himself down somewhat. Still looking down and looking embarrassed, Inari muttered, well, I was hoping I could maybe spend the night. Naruto stared for a minute, uncomprehending. He wants to sleep with me. Inari, embarrassed by Naruto's blank stare, quickly looked away in embarrassment and started slowly shuffling away, muttering a well if you don't want to. Naruto was a little alarmed. He didn't want Inari to think he was snubbing him, he just oh shoot. He's leaving. Frig, what to do? Don't want to hurt his feelings so sure the small word was out before he could think about it. Inari stopped. Naruto froze. Inari started turning back around. Naruto was still frozen, his half smile in place, still propped up by his elbow. Inari had a small smile on his face as he made his way back to Naruto, and Naruto was so relieved that he kept Inari from feeling bad, he made space on the bed and pulled back the covers for Inari without a thought. As Inaru settled by his side and said goodnight, he replied with his own and settled onto his back to try to get some sleep, closing his eyes. It was only then that he remembered the strange behavior from Inari. Shoot. The nightmare was just an excuse. Why the hell did I say yes? He probably would have been relieved that he got away. But he could have gotten away with only the bit about the nightmare, why ask to stay the night then? Now that he thought about it, he remembered that Inari had also been acting strange well, he didn't know what his usual habits were, but Inari seemed to want to stick to him like glue. When it was his turn to guard Tazuna, couldn't see what from though, Inari went with him. When he was in the house, Inari stayed with him. Inari seemed to want to be wherever Naruto was, blushing at praise, and when Naruto grinned at him or even laughed with him. Great, more weird behavior, at least he doesn't blush as much as the team and Sakura. Naruto noticed Inari was still awake, pretending to be asleep, but still awake. Figuring that he was just uncomfortable with the fact he was sleeping next to him, Naruto pretended to fall asleep to make him more comfortable. Well, he did seem to relax. He relaxed enough to move himself under his arm, set his head on his shoulder, and drape his arm across his front. Naruto sighed a little when he felt him fall asleep and resigned himself to Inari's weird behavior. Peeking at Inari, he noticed he even had a blush on his face in his sleep, snuggling himself more into Naruto's chest. Naruto gave a slightly bigger sigh and prepared to go to sleep, drifting off into his subconscious, dreaming of when he wasn't surrounded by people acting weird, when he was just Naruto Uzumaki, when he didn't have a bloodline, and when he was normal. As he slipped into his dreams, he didn't notice the glittering red Sharingan eyes swirling at him and Inari, nor the patented Uchiha death glare aimed at Inari. He didn't even hear his room and teammate mutter stupid kid stupid dope team. Okay, so maybe he did hear the last part, or it could just be he has an instinct to respond to that insult. Ugh, it's time to get up frig, I only have until we get to Konoha to figure out a useful use for my bloodline and figure out a name whatever, figure out a name later, when I know I'll be alive to tell it. So, what's important in the village? Strength, speed no, wait, those are important mainly in a ninja, but strength is important in the village, but there's a lot of different of strengths in a village maybe I should get up now. Probably help me think with a full stomach, but I'm so comfortable even if my blanket's a little heavy and keeps moving around so comfy I'm so tired, wonder why. Wait, moving. Naruto immediately went rigid. Now that he was paying attention, his blanket definitely had a distinctly human feel and shape to it, a small one at that. Oh. Inari. Oh yeah, he came into the room, acted weird, made up an excuse for his weird actions, and acted weirder by asking to stay the night with him, and I said yes. Fuck. What to do now? He tried moving Inari to the side to get up, and he did, just to find that Inari had a death grip on his shirt. He tried prying his fingers from his shirt, but Inari just scrunched up his face and shifted his grip to clutching arms around his stomach. Frig, well this sucks. Maybe I should just wake him up. Naruto checked the time 5:30 am, about a half hour until everybody would wake up or be woken up. At 6, Inari's mom usually got up, have breakfast and then hit the road, as if Inari'd get up at this time of morning for any reason, short of a hurricane. So they just left his teammates, both old and new. No way was he asking Kakashi or Zabuza, Kakashi would tease him about it relentlessly, and Zabuza seemed to be his partner in crime. In that aspect, Sakura would kill him if he got her up early, the only options were Sasu team and Haku. The team got up about 15 minutes or so before he was supposed to. Crazy bastard, maybe it's lack of sleep that makes him such a bastard. Nah, he doesn't need a reason to be an ass, it's in his frigid emo programming, and Haku and Zabuza kept switching night watch, maybe it's a force of habit, they were on the run for who knows how many years. Wait, they're still on the run now, aren't they? At least till we get to Konoha. So Haku's probably up right now. Of the two, he'd prefer Haku to Sasuke, seeing as how the team would probably turn this into some messed up case about how he couldn't even defeat a kid or something. As he listened for where Haku was, however, he found he was on the roof on the opposite side of the house, and if he called out to him, loud enough for him to hear him, anyway, he'd probably end up waking everyone up. That meant Sakura, who'd kill him while yelling about beauty sleep or something, Kakashi and Zabuza, wow, they'd get such a laugh, and Inari's mom and Tazuna, Naruto figured they'd be torn between laughter and concern as to why their grandson was in bed with a ninja. So he was stuck with trying to get the emo across the room to help him get untangled. Checking the clock again, he noticed he'd wasted around 10 minutes over his thoughts, so the team would be up and prowling around in about 5 minutes. Great. An hour and a half later. Naruto walked at the back of the group, rubbing at the quickly fading bruises over his right eye, his left cheek, and right along his jaw, courtesy of Sakura-chan, wondering what the hell he'd done to deserve an hour of death glares, both Sasuke and Sakura, ouch and ouch again, as well as the severe pounding. Pounding was the best word for both the beating and the injuries. He had had a couple other bruises on his body that he felt had healed, thank you natural super healing plus new bloodline healing abilities, but the two on his face were still throbbing slightly, although the swelling had gone down within the first few minutes. The one on his cheek felt like it was healing a little quicker than his eye, so he'd still have the shiner when they passed through the small village on the way back to Konoha. Frig, he was going to look so weak. Not weak, sexy. What? Naruto accidentally said aloud, earning a few weird looks from his companions ahead of him. The black eye is sexy, no matter to what gender. It attracts females because it makes you look tough, and guys are interested because it's the mark of a fight. So long as you don't say it's from the pink-haired girl, everyone, due to your injuries, will just think you're tough. It's perfect. Why the hell would I be interested in attracting guys? And what would it matter if any of the girls there think I'm attractive? I'm only going to maybe see them if when I'm going to a mission. Also, a lot of black eyes are really ugly, and I have blue eyes. Naruto avoided thinking about how he also had purpley bluish reddish eyes. He also avoided thinking about how he was just thinking about what his eye color was to annoy the voice. I know you know what I'm talking about. Darn. Well, what if I'm interested in their attention? I like guys. Aha. So the weird girl guy voice is a girl now that I think on it, the voice was more feminine that time. And I'm also interested in girls. So, regardless of whether or not you're going to see them again soon, that black eye is staying, and it'll stay the right color to be sexy. Don't worry, it'll be healed before we get to Konoha. Damn, that voice was definitely more masculine. Maybe I have more than one voice in my head. No. You only have Lil Almi stuck in this head of yours, at least there's plenty of room. Naruto could distinctly hear the grin in the voice and decided not to rise to the bait. Aw, good boy. You're learning restraint. Here's a cookie. An image of a cookie popped into his head before he could stop it. Frig. He couldn't stop himself from thinking stupid fuzzball. There was a moment of silence. Naruto thought that was a little odd. He would have expected at least a little laugh from the voice, never mind the fact that he was expecting things from the voice in his head and pay no attention to the fact that he was having a conversation with it. It took him a minute to realize that the voice was shocked. What did you call me? Fuzzball? Naruto's inner thoughts. Is fuzzball some major insult to the voices in people's heads? Why? Because I don't have anything else to call you and you sound fuzzy, like if a cat could talk kind of fuzzy. He felt the sensation like the voice sighed in relief. Or was it annoyance? Well, hey. I do not sound like a cat. Well, that's good. I haven't had too many experiences with cats that were good. Damn, they have sharp claws. Stupid cat. I most certainly am not a cat. You brat, think of something a little more canine and before you get it into your head that I'm one of those stupid mutts, I'm not a dog, either. So what, you're an animal? Geez. I have a talking animal in my head. So what are you, if you're an animal? A hyena? No. I'm not a hyena. Sue, are you what about a wolf? Didn't I just say I'm not a dog? Well, I figure that wolves wouldn't want to be mistaken for dogs. You know, the whole wild wolf versus mild mutt kind of thing, and you aren't saying no. I am not a wolf either. Geez, you brat, can't you think of another animal? Here's a hint. I'm much more dignified than those mongrels that you mentioned earlier. Think refined, sleek, elegant, intellectual. That kind of thing. But I am not a stinking dog, nor a stupid cat, or a retarded hyena, or a friggin' wolf. Well great, now he had to figure out what the voice in his head was, as well as some use for the bloodline. Aw, fuck. Naruto checked the time. 11:45. 4.5 hours arguing with a voice in his head. What the hell were they talking about before they got into the whole what am I? I'm nothing. Naruto scrunched up his face and was rewarded by a slight throbbing around his right eye, reminding him of his morning adventure, deciding not to think about what the voice in his head was, aside from pretty good proof that he was insane. But wait, don't insane people not know they're insane? So, did that make him not insane? But just that thought alone made him insane, didn't it? Whatever. Nor about what his bloodline could be used for, how the hell could that be useful? The answer would probably be obvious as soon as he figured it out. It's like asking an only child what boobs were for. They wouldn't know without any sibling and would have probably not have gotten the talk, Think about it, it makes sense, it does. Sorry for bad examples, I'm just tired, but it does make sense. To avoid having a panic attack on the road. Something occurred to Naruto just then. Did I ever actually mention the voice to everyone else? Should I? Nah, I don't need them worrying about my mental health right now. I'll mention it later. Naruto sighed to himself as he remembered his embarrassment this morning. He'd managed to wake the team up. Naruto conveniently forgot about shadow clones and threw a chair at him instead. and got him to help him out. Of course Sasuke team had to put his 2 cents in. What? Couldn't you handle a little kid yourself? Dope bastard. They almost had Inari off, with Sasuke giving Inari his death glare. Naruto thought it seemed particularly wrathful, but it was probably because Naruto woke him up a few minutes earlier than he would have because of him when Inari bit him. No, not Naruto, Sasuke. He bit Sasuke. Hard. Picture that in your head x3 haha. Naruto, looking back on it, thought that it probably wasn't the best idea for keeping his health and or life to start laughing at Sasuke as he started quietly swearing. He thought that maybe Sakura wouldn't have woken up if he hadn't started laughing, either. But oh no, it wasn't his laughing that woke her up, he had enough sense not to laugh loudly. It was all Sasuke. Sasuke pried his hand from Inari's mouth. Naruto. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Ha ho ho. Redirected his death glare to Naruto. Naruto. Ha 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 oh shoot. And tackled him. That ended up with them rolling off the opposite side of the bed, Naruto losing his shirt to Inari. He'd moved his grip back to the front of his t-shirt at some point after the bite and had clung on, despite Naruto's rolling and continuing rolling, with each trying to get the upper hand. They stopped rolling but still grappled with each other, trying to get the upper hand. Sasuke managed to flip Naruto onto his stomach and twisted his arm behind his back. The bastard even had the nerve to lean over him and whisper had enough, doopy. In my ear. Naruto remembered everything as it happened, reliving it. Naruto had shifted himself to his knees so he could get them under himself and pushed himself to all fours, wrenching his arm from behind his back. Sasuke had to put his hand down to keep balance and it landed on Naruto's newly freed hand. Naruto pushed himself forward and jerked himself backwards to try to throw him off his back or at least overbalance him in some way. He hit his stomach, apparently harder than he thought. He'd pushed back because Sasuke grunted and curled forward slightly. I'm saying this now, Naruto didn't hit Sasuke's stomach. Naruto shoved sideways, toppling Sasuke to his side, quickly straddling his thighs and grabbing his hands. Naruto would have punched him, but he still had some wounds on his chest and arms, and he didn't want Sakura hitting him for bruising his pretty boy face also, he wasn't that mean. Naruto winced as he remembered how he heard the door slam open, just as Sasuke pushed his knees up. He shivered when he remembered the sight of pink hair and wide aqua green eyes out of the corner of his eye as he toppled forward, hands trying to move forward to steady himself. Stupid Sasuke team had his hands from when Naruto had his hands. And Naruto went red when he remembered how his body had toppled onto Sasuke's. Naruto denies any accusation to having squeaked as he fell. He did not squeak. He didn't. Nope, no squeaking at all. Stomach to stomach, chest to chest, forehead to forehead, and mouth to mouth. Naruto could imagine how it would look to the momentarily speechless Sakura standing in the doorway, having gotten woken up by the sounds of fighting in their room, only to open the door to see one of her teammates pinned by the other and one falling towards the other, ending in a lip lock. He could understand that she could and would be angry. He hoped that Sasuke could understand his own situation and just let him go so Naruto could run far, far away from the probably, most likely, seething Sakura. Right now. But no, Sasuke just sat there, lay there, whatever. Maybe in shock, his eyes were a little wider than usual, maybe waiting for his revenge. He knew Naruto wouldn't hit Sakura back. And maybe that bite got infected somehow and made him brain dead in some way whatever. Either way, he just sat there, not letting go of a struggling Naruto's hands as he frantically tried to pry himself from him. He had landed in such a way that he couldn't push himself up without his hands. Ignoring the fact that Naruto's eyes were darting fearfully back and forth from Sasuke to Sakura, begging Sasuke with his eyes to let him go. Naruto pushed down with his hips, earning a grunt from Sasuke, and pushed his chest up, hoping his head and mouth would follow, please. Well, it did follow, but so did Sasuke, holding both of their hands down to push himself up and, for some reason, keeping their lips locked. Did he really go brain dead? Sasuke was looking at him calmly. Bastard. Asshole. Lego, you overly calm maniac. And Naruto couldn't help but call him as he saw him. Bastard, only to regret it a moment later when he saw Sasuke's eyes widen a little and widened his own eyes as he registered the fact that they just rubbed their lips together. Naruto's mind. Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh crap. It got a little fuzzy after that. He could remember Sakura screeching at him, Inari waking up and yelling at her for yelling, "Job kid, that makes sense." Sakura launching herself at Naruto and beating the hell out of him. Oh, and everyone else in the house waking up to see what the hell the racket was. That all led to him being glared and laughed at all during breakfast and for the next hour or so of the walk. Maybe there's a little Uchiha in Sakura. I thought that only they could do the Uchiha death glare. Naruto was pulled from his thoughts when Kakashi said, "Why don't we stop for lunch?" "Don't do it. I'm not going to do anything." "Don't say it then." "What?" "Come on. Sakura probably hates me now, thanks to him. Besides, only he and I saw it." "I'm saying it." But you told everyone what happened since he was being all broody and quite shy, just don't yell it out. PFFT, fine, whatever. As everyone's starting taking out their lunch, courtesy of Inari's mom, Naruto said, just loud enough for everyone to hear if they were listening. I thought Sasuke already had a bite. Sasuke froze and clenched his hands, one of which had a red mark on it. The two Jounin's eyes widened, Sakura gaped, and Naruto couldn't help the grin creeping its way across his face, regardless of the slight twinge it brought him. Oh, Naruto's grin got a little wider. Ace. What did you just say? Oh, nothing, just making an observation. Sasuke's eye twitched. Eye twitch of doom. Naruto got ready for what he knew was going to happen. Kakashi and Zabuza started laughing. And Sasuke pounced. Naruto started running like hell, the sound of laughter and Kakashi calling out not to go too far following him, and of course the sound of Sasuke following. Time skip. They were about a half hour or so from the small village that they had to pass through to get to Konoha. They were going to stay the night at a small inn, and Naruto figured that they'd get to Konoha at around noon the next day. Naruto rubbed at the newly darkened bruise along his jaw. Sasuke had managed to get a hit on him. Not a particularly hard hit, but since he managed to hit his bruise, it hurt a hell of a lot more than it would have. Wow, I feel like I forgot to do something really important. I wonder what it could be. Shoot. I haven't thought about a use for my bloodline at all. Frig. And I only have until tomorrow afternoon. Shoot. What was I thinking this morning? Strength. Yeah. Strength is important in a village. And I thought there's different kinds of strength in the village. Okay, a start. Now, where to go from there? What kinds of strength are there? Naruto vaguely realized that they had reached the entrance to the village, but he was too immersed in his thoughts to pay that much attention to it. Okay, there's strength in numbers in a village, like how if there's a bigger village, there's more ninjas and fighters, but I'm already a ninja, so that can't be too important when using my bloodline. If I wasn't a ninja, then I guess I could have said that I could become one, but I am a ninja, so gotta find something else. Wait, what's this weird feeling? Naruto looked around and noticed that, as they walked past houses and shops, their group was receiving weird looks. Naruto tried looking at the people in their group as if he was an outsider. Naruto spotted the problem. They had two people with masks on, one of them with a giant sword strapped to his back. They also had one guy who looked prettier than a girl, or a girl who looked like a hot guy, a girl with pink hair, and a breeding emo guy. Naruto assumed that the girls here were as deluded as the ones in Konoha, and thought that the team was good looking. PFFT. No wonder they were gaining weird looks. Oh yeah, they also had him, a guy with red-tipped hair, but that's not too odd, is it? Naruto looked up when he felt a hand on his shoulder. It was Kakashi. We're going to the inn to put our things away and then go grab dinner afterwards. After that, you can do whatever you want, but remember that we're leaving for Konoha in the morning. I figured that you weren't listening earlier when we were talking. Hey, Kakashi-sensei, why are we staying the night here? We'd be able to reach Konoha by morning if we continued on. Yes, but we aren't in a rush. Also, I figured that you'd appreciate getting more time to think of a use for your bloodline in the village. You have been thinking on it, haven't you? Sure I have. I just haven't thought of anything yet. Shoot, I can't tell him that I haven't thought about it, like, at all today. Damn it, I have to figure out something soon. Well, so long as you're thinking on it, I've been able to think of a few things you could do with your ability. Naruto brightened. Yes. I'm saved. But not anything you could do for the village. Naruto's sweat dropped. Of course, the pervert would think of things like that, but have you thought of anything to try to expand on? Some place to start? Well, I figure that it has to at least help out a strength in the village, if not make a strength of its own. So you're trying to find something it could help out with? What about as a ninja? Well, you said it yourself, it's not too great in fighting, like the Sharingan or Haku's bloodline, and it's not good at all in scouting like that Byakugan or whatever it's called that Hinata's family has. So if there's a way for it to be used to complement some strength or another in the village, then the council shouldn't be able to say anything, right? You mean the Byakugan, and you have the right thought about it. Kakashi was silent for a moment. Try thinking about other ways that those other bloodlines can be used, and you might be able to figure something out. Oh, we're here. As Kakashi went to get them rooms, Naruto tried thinking of other things that Byakugan and Sharingan could be used for. Well, the Sharingan can copy movements and jutsu, so I guess that's another use for it, but what would that be classified as? And I guess if someone who has Byakugan can read lips, they could probably spy, as well as read open documents from afar, regardless of lip reading abilities. Information. I guess gathering jutsu could be considered gathering information too. Is there any way for my bloodline to be used for gathering information? It couldn't be used in finding jutsu unless someone has a habit of explaining jutsu when they're horny. Sweat drop, and it's generally close range, so it couldn't be used like the Byakugan. Maybe I should write all the different types of strengths down, then figure out if it works. Kakashi had gotten them their rooms, so Naruto headed up with everyone and put his stuff down, rummaging through his bag for a pad of paper and a pen, no idea if they have either of those in the anime manga or if they just have scrolls and ink, so please, just deal with my ignorance. And brought them with him when they went out for dinner. Naruto was disappointed that they weren't going out for ramen. Naruto's thoughts. Wow. Haven't headed in for ver. I'm going through withdrawals. But grilled pork was good too. If his friends and teammates noticed that he was unusually quiet, they didn't bother him about it, aside from giving him worried looks. Sakura and Sasuke had stopped their glaring when they noticed that he hadn't said practically anything for the whole trip. Naruto focused on thinking of as many different types of strength as possible, regardless of whether or not he thought that he couldn't use it for his bloodline, he would think of that later. Strength in the village is strength in numbers, size, strength like intelligence, strength in fighting, strength in the community, strength in economy, strength in medicine, and healing is a strength. What else? Strength in military defense, strength in morality, maybe religion. Technological strength is important too. You'd think that there would be more kinds of strengths in a village. Naruto finished and, after a quick bye and an explanation as to where he was going, I'm looking around the village, he set out, paper and pen in hand. I should probably write down what I have so far, maybe leave space for notes or something. Wow, Sakura would be proud. Let's see. Strengths, military defense, against other nations, fighting, ability, numbers, size, economy, community, morality, religious, medicine, healing, organizational, government, technological, intelligence. Well, that looks about right. Okay, first thing. Military defense. Well, I can make over 100 shadow clones, and that can help in military and defense, but that doesn't have anything to do with my bloodline, but maybe it'll help my case if they know that I can do that, but then again, it's a forbidden jutsu and I'm not supposed to know about it. I'm just not going to mention it. Next on the list, fighting, ability, my bloodline only helps out my fighting minimally. I can sense where everyone is because I can feel where their spots are, and I guess I could bring an opponent down with a mega nosebleed, but that's not a good argument, not to mention the fact that the council's made up of old farts, and they probably wouldn't think of it as useful. Next is numbers, size. That brings me back to shadow clones. Economy is after that. Don't think that this special ability of mine is going to affect the economy. At all. Unless I get caged and they put me on public display. Come one, come all. Come see the boy with the useless bloodline ability. But let's stay on happy thoughts. Community strength. That's keeping the village united, and most of the village is united in hating me. I doubt that me getting a bloodline will change their minds, especially when they hear what it is. It's also not going to unite the village more, that's for sure. Morality, well, again, most of the villagers hate me, most of them for something that's obviously out of my control. Again, I doubt me having a bloodline will change that or raise their morality. Religion. There are 3 ways this situation will go. 1, they will ignore me. 2, my bloodline will start a new religion, with waves upon waves of worshippers coming to see me about pregnancy and whatever, as if that'll ever happen. And 3, preachers and priests will rally their followers against me, for I am so unholy and evil and blah blah blah. I'm hoping for option 1. Next up, medicine, healing. I dunno if there's any way my bloodline could be used for medical reasons. Maybe to get someone's heart pumping. Maybe if someone has a sexual dysfunction. Naruto shuddered at the thought of having to fix that. Oh well, I'll ask Kakashi-sensei about it later. Better find something else, even if getting horny could cure a disease or something, and he couldn't help with organization government at all. The council is part of the government, and unless he could find a use for his bloodline in the village, they'd have him killed. Now that Naruto thought about it, even if he did find something, they'd still try to find a way to get him killed if he was in the government. Even without that thought, the only way for him to be a help with the government was if they decided to sell him or something for an alliance. And while yes, I'm above average when it comes to organizing things, well, except remembering to do laundry at home, doubt they'd trust me with their laundry in any case, and laundry is not important now. Well, except that I have to get more clothes. I doubt that they'd trust me to organize anything useful. And there's no way for my bloodline to be used in either government or organization. Okay, and technological strength is up next. Well, I don't think that my bloodline has made me any more technologically savvy. Gotta check that out later, maybe buy a new computer and try setting it up. If I can, then yes, I am more technologically advanced. If I can't or can only do it part way without help, then no, I'm normal. And last on my list, intelligence. But wait, aren't there also a lot of different types of intelligence? Like book smart like Sakura, or being able to memorize easily, stupid team and his photographic memory. Heck, there's even smarts for the arts, or being smart enough for leadership, large or small, and then there's trade smarts for jobs and money management. Maybe this strength needs a list of its own. Naruto turned the page. Intelligence, book, math, science, lit, etc. Memorization. Leader. Trade. Profession. Buy. Sell. Art. Naruto thought a moment. There are more ninja smarts, aren't there? Spying. Gathering information from enemy. Hostage torture interrogation. Naruto looked over what he had so far, checking the notes he added and making sure he hadn't missed anything. An. X equals not happening, O equals can use he circled it for yes, equals look more into it need more information. Strengths. Military defense, ninja, X can't use shadow clones, isn't bloodline. Hiding, ability, X council won't find it useful enough, distraction, disoriented, nose bleeds, feel where opponent is from spots. Numbers size X can't use clones, isn't bloodline. Economy X unless caged and put on display, no. Community X villagers dislike me, no use even with bloodline. Morality X villagers dislike me, no use even with bloodline. Religious X 1 leave me alone, 2 worship me, as if. 3 condemn kill me. Medicine healing see Kakashi about possibility of ability being used medically. Organizational government XXXXX council will say no and no use in organization or govt anyway. Technological X. Don't think so but buy new computer and see. Intelligence see next page. Next page. Intelligence. Book, math, science, lit, etc. Memorization. Leader. Trade. Profession. Buy. Sell. Art. Spying. Information from enemy. Hostage torture interrogation. Naruto looked up from his list when he felt a twinge like someone was watching him. Looking around, he saw that he was earning quite a few strange looks. Is it that odd to see someone writing in a notebook? Naruto looked down at himself, noticing his too short orange pants, he'd rolled them up to be shorts, though. And his too tight black t-shirt, his orange jacket was too small in the shoulders from his growth and ripped down the back when he tried to put it on. He didn't see anything odd as it his t-shirt. It's a little small, but he'd seen some people wear shirts like this. Maybe something on my face. Feeling around his mouth and checking in the reflection in a window, Naruto couldn't see or feel anything on his face and, after running his tongue over his teeth, he didn't have anything stuck in his teeth either, not that he'd been talking, or that even if he had been, they wouldn't have been able to see it at this distance. When he pushed back a lock of hair that had flopped onto his face, I need to get a haircut too. He heard a group of girls sigh and echoes of it from other people on the street, guys and girls alike. Was it his hair then? True, it's unusual, but he'd seen wackier hair than his and he thought that after a week of having to see it and get used to it, it looked pretty cool. I mean, who else has red-tipped hair? It's what's the word Sakura used? Erotic no. Exotic, that's it. Exotic maybe I should ask someone. Walking towards the original group that had sighed, he saw that there were 5 girls. 3 of them looked about his age, 1 seemed younger, and the last one had to be at least 2 years older. They started whispering furiously when they saw him walking over. Naruto's ears could pick up a lot of "Oh my god. And he's coming over. Did he look scary?" But quieted down as soon as he was in normal hearing range, save for a few giggles. Why were they giggling? What was so funny? Hi, I was just wondering. He was interrupted by them bursting out in giggles. One of the girls, who looked his age, spoke up. If we wanted to get a few drinks. Sure. Actually, I was just wondering why everyone's staring. Is there something wrong with my face or something? The one who spoke up flushed red. What did I do to make her angry? And the rest giggled. Do I look funny? Or has someone made a joke about me? The oldest one stopped first and cleared her throat. Ahem, sorry for staring, but there aren't many people who look like you around here. Do I look strange or something? Naruto tilted his head and looked her in the eye in confusion. She flushed and looked away. Shoot, was that rude? How'd I make her angry too? The youngest one piped up this time. Nope, not strange, you're really Kyuubi. One of the other girls, who looked to be his age, clamped a hand over her mouth. She meant to say you look really different. The girl, who hadn't spoken up till now, said yup, you look different alright. Different? Is that bad? What do you mean different? You mean my hair? Naruto asked, fingering a strand. I thought it looked alright. That's not it. Your hair's gorgeous. It was the girl who'd spoken up earlier. She seemed to have gotten over her anger, but she still looked a little red, so Naruto wanted to be careful. As if to prove her point, she reached up, she was a hand's length shorter. And buried her hands in his hair. Naruto's eyes widened and he jerked a little. The only thing preventing him from jerking back entirely was the fact that her cheeks were still a little red and he didn't want her angry again. If she was anything like Sakura, he didn't want to find out. Her eyes widened too, and she gave a sharp gasp, right before slumping down onto Naruto's mind. Too much contact. What happened to her? What did I do? What's with these girls? Naruto grabbed her under her arms to keep her upright as her friends rushed forward. The girl who had clamped her hand over the younger girl's mouth and the younger girl tried taking over and holding their slumped friend, but her shirt was too slippery and her hands wouldn't leave Naruto's hair. The oldest girl snapped her eyes to Naruto and demanded, "What did you do to her?" "I didn't do anything. She just grabbed my hair and slumped over." "What's wrong with her?" The two girls were still struggling with trying to hold the girl, so Naruto scooped her up bridal style. "Hey, can you get her hands out of my hair?" Maybe that's what did it, though I dunno why. The two, who had been trying to hold the girl up, moved from trying to take their friend from Naruto to trying to get their friend's hands to stop clutching his hair. Naruto stooped down to accommodate them. By now, most people on the street were looking at the spectacle they were making. Their fingers got around hers to pull them from his hair when they paused. "Would you pause?" The oldest girl was still glaring at Naruto, but stopped for the moment to see what her friends were doing. Just to make things clear. The oldest girl and younger girl are still going to be referred as such or variations until further notice. As for the three that are Naruto's age, 1 is the one who fainted, 2 is the one who put her hand over the youngest one's mouth, and 3 is the last girl who said yeah you're different currently. 1 is in Naruto's arms. The youngest and 2 are trying to get 1's hands out of Naruto's hair, and 3 and oldest are glaring, but oldest is seeing why young and 2 are pausing. On with story. Wow, this chapter is Luong 10 PGS so far and quick. Sorry for the lateness. The youngest and 2 didn't answer. Oldest and 3 went to check what their friends were doing, moving to grab their 3 friends' hands from his hair. They paused, hands in his hair. Guys, can you just, not keep your hands in my hair?" Naruto was feeling a little uncomfortable. He'd just come over to them to see why the hell everyone was giving him such strange looks and stares, and they start giggling. Next thing he knows, one decides to grab his hair and go limp, then he has the rest getting angry at him, and now they're grabbing his hair too. What was with them? Konoha girls didn't do this, that's for sure. The girl he dubbed 1 gave a start in his arms. Naruto winced as it pulled his hair. And turned a starry gaze up to him. "Naruto. Huh?" And threw her arms round his neck and squealed. Loudly. Ouch. That must have been some signal to the rest of them because they all squealed too, double and triple ouch. And glumped him. Naruto strained to stay upright, which was pretty hard with 5 people clinging to him all at once. Well, at least they aren't yanking at my hair anymore. Naruto couldn't hold them up anymore, well, they were wiggling and squealing. And flopped down, trying not to squish any of his passengers. Naruto wriggled out from under them, got a few steps away, turned to them, they were looking for him by then. Where'd he go? Looking as sorry as possible, really don't want this many possible Sakuras angry at me, and said, "I'm really sorry about whatever just happened. Sorry for bothering you, and bye." Then, he got the hell out of there. What is wrong with him? Later, a few blocks away from where Naruto left the girls. Haha, I don't think they followed me. What was wrong with them? Whatever, just hope no one else is like that. Naruto checked his list again and decided to check a couple of them out. Going into a bookstore, he grabbed a science book off the shelf. Opening it, it only took him a minute to realize that he didn't get science any more than he usually did. He flipped through the book, seeing if he could remember anything that he read. Nope. He landed on the part of the book that went through reproduction. Naruto just flipped through it, scanning it briefly and moving on to the next page. Hee. What are you laughing about? Oh shit. Naruto could remember everything from that section. Geez, does that mean I can remember everything about sex? Before, during and after. Oh well, I guess I can add that to my notes in any case, even though it is so unfair. Naruto actually felt tears in his eyes. Naruto moved around the bookstore for anything else that popped out at him, but left when he found an entire section filled with orange books like the ones Kakashi-sensei read. It's so sad that such a pure color used on such pervy stuff. Wandering around, he saw a shop person struggling with a crate and helped him out. Unfortunately, he ripped his shirt. In both the front and back. How the hell did that happen? People around him were giving him the same look those girls had been giving him before they went crazy. Looking around quickly, he spotted a clothes shop nearby and darted inside. It looked a little expensive, and he only wanted a couple of plain black t-shirts for when he got back too. Grabbing one that looked to be his size, he went to the lady at the register to buy it. She had a weird gleam in her eye, and Naruto backed up a little. He had learned to be wary of eye gleams. But she whipped around the counter and had his bicep in a death grip before he could even think to blink. "Why, hello sir. Why don't you look around our shop? We have a wide selection of shirts to choose from. But I just need a plain black t-shirt, that's all. This is the cheapest thing here, anyway." "Oh, don't worry about that. She snapped her finders a second later. "There's a special discount for you. You're the 32nd customer today. And you can tell everyone where you got the shirts. We can sell you some nice pants to go with them, too. I see that you're a ninja for the leaf. We have just the thing for you." And before Naruto could make any objections, she herded him around the room, holding things up to him, and eventually, he had a giant pile of clothes in his arms. She then guided him to the register and started checking the clothes out. "Hey. I can't afford all of these." "Don't worry sir. It's an 80% discount for you. The only catch is that you have to tell everyone where you got all of these clothes. Just tell them it's from Expensive Ninja and Everyday Wear, AN. Still tired, please forgive the weirdo name. And that's it. Now then, with all of the discounts, it comes up to $15.75 and here's some, complimentary boxers. Naruto paid her, eyes wide as she handed him one of the t-shirts to put on, shoving the boxers, whoa. Silk. Into the bag with the rest. She handed him his receipt and he headed out, bags in hand, only vaguely noticing the stares he was receiving on his way out and completely oblivious to the flashes from the register woman taking pictures. He snapped out of it enough to quickly run back to the inn to drop off his things, Zabuza giving him a weird look, then he headed out again, this time stopping in at a small art gala. He noticed on his way around town that no matter how quiet or sneaky he was, everyone noticed him. There were a lot of pieces, but only a few really stood out to him, though some of them ones he didn't even like. When he checked their prices, his jaw dropped. All of them were 6+ figures, save for one. The only one that wasn't, was, in his opinion, the best. It was fairly dark in color, but it had so many splashes of color running across it. It was really mesmerizing, and, he started noticing that the splashes of color sometimes made things. The glowing pair of yellow eyes there, and those weren't multicolored speckles, those were tiny detailed birds. He checked the price and found it was in his range. Only a little more than $100. He figured, why not? Naruto bought it. He made another trip back to the inn to drop the wrap painting off and then he checked his list. Intelligence, book, math, science, lit. X not any smarter, except for now knowing way more about reproduction than I want to know. Memorization X it's elective. I remember everything that I don't want to know about reproduction. Leader X I dunno if I can lead, but the council wouldn't let me, in any case. Trade, profession buy sell, oh got a really good deal on clothes, 10 shirts and 11 pants for $15.75, 5 pairs of silk boxers as a bonus, add expensive ninja and everyday wear. Guards oh I think some are cool and pointed out the ones that were worth the most without looking at price not too crazy for the art, though. Spying X everyone kept noticing me, no matter what. Information from enemy, hostage torture interrogation. Can't check. Naruto wandered down a street for a while, wondering how he could check the last thing on his list, maybe he could ask old man Hokage. Before he could think of anything else, he was tackled from behind, he, thankfully, stayed on his feet though. Before he could react, he felt a hand comb through his hair and heard something terrifying. A giggle. A very familiar giggle. Ah. It's them. Sure enough, he heard answering giggles from behind him. And in front of him, and on either side of him. Oh god, I'm surrounded. It was one who was currently clinging to his arm and youngest moved to his right to take his other arm captive. Hey, Mimi, you didn't have to be so rough. You could have hurt Fox-chan. Fox-chan, who? Oh, Rain Wani-chan, an. I think Wani-chan is like sister and Ani-chan would be like brother, he's okay. He's a ninja. Ninja are trained to bear even the worst pain. Right, Fox-kun. The newly dubbed Mimi, previously known as One, asked. I'm Fox-chan. Wait, Fox-kun. Yeah. And Fox-kun is tough. Youngest said, hanging off his arm. Oldest, now known as Rain, just sighed, then looked Naruto over. That's not the point, Missa, Mimi. So youngest is Missa. Oldest is Rain, and one's Mimi whatever, I gotta get out of here before they go crazy again. Hey, could you just let go of my arms? Please. Dude decided to speak up at this. What? So you can run away from us again? It took us all this time to catch up to you. Yeah. We had a hell of a time trying to catch up to you. Why are you following me? I don't even know you. Naruto was freaking out at this point, struggling to get his arms free without hurting Missa and Mimi. They went silent for a moment, then Rain spoke up. Right, you don't know our names. Well ahem, I'm Rain, oldest, the one holding your right arm is Missa, youngest, left is Mimi, 1, and pointing to the shorter of the two left, and she's Rach, 3, and she's Shiraka, but Shiro for short, 2. There, you know us now. Now, how about introducing yourself, Fox-chan? Asked Rach with a wink. Why is she winking? Does she have something in her eye? Shoot, they won't leave me alone, will they? Maybe if I give my name, they'll relax their hold and I'll be able to slip away. Haha, I don't think that'll happen. I think you're stuck with these lovely ladies for the evening. Naruto almost groaned aloud. The voice was a little more knowledgeable about these kinds of things than he was, but since it's a voice in my head, does that mean I have knowledge that I myself don't know about? Does that mean I know more about things than I'm letting on to myself so it was most likely right? Well. My name's Naruto. Naruto what? Should I tell them my real last name? What if they start stalking me? No, calm down Naruto. After tomorrow, you'll never see them again Naruto Uzumaki. Something was bugging Naruto as he walked around with the 5 girls holding him against his will. Hey, would you all go crazy when you were yanking on my hair earlier? And calling me Fox-chan. I'm sorry, Shiro mumbled something too low for him to hear. Pardon. Your hair is just really soft it just shocked us. Yeah. What hair products do you use? Your hair feels like puppy fur. Rach exclaimed, reaching up and combing her fingers through his hair. Super silky. Oh, and for your other question, you just look fox-like, Naru-chan. Misa piped up. Shush. Stop bugging Naruto-kun about his soft and silky hair. Ah, I think, out of the lot of them, I like Rain the most. She's still crazy, but at least she doesn't go overboard now. If only they would loosen their hold on me. Oh, hey fuzzball. Yeah? Are you a fox? Ding ding ding. We have a winner. It was them who helped, wasn't it? Yeah, figures that the village pariah would have the most hated animal of the village as a voice in his head. I guess they aren't so bad, but I'm still going to escape them, no matter what. Ah. What do those villagers know anyway? Why won't they leave me alone? It's 10:15 already. Since they found him, the 5 girls had stuck to him like Velcro. The punch to his shoulder brought him out of his thoughts, not that he was really in them. Oh, Naru Fox-chan is ignoring us. So mean. Mimi, 1. Stop hitting Naru-kun. Rain-chan, oldest. Like I said before, he's a ninja, he can deal with a little pain, although, maybe I should kiss it better. Lisa, youngest, gasped and the rest erupted in giggles. Rach, 3, grinned. Well, it's true that ninjas are trained against pain, but are they trained against pleasure? Ha! I doubt that the toughest ninja alive could keep their sense against that. Laughed Shiro, 2. That began an argument between the girls, each girl adding her own comments to the mix. What they had said got Naruto to thinking ninja are trained to bear even the worst pain. But are they trained against pleasure? I doubt that the toughest ninja alive could keep their sense against that. Their words whirled around his head. What if that might just work? Gotta find Kakashi-sensei. With a new sense of purpose, Naruto dodged out from their group, shouting a quick bye and a nice to meet ya behind him as he took to the rooftops, making his way to the inn, only one thought on his mind. I think I might have just found my use. What the? Opening my eyes, I came to consciousness, or was it really consciousness? I didn't get knocked out, I didn't fall asleep, I was just not there, and now, I am, but where am I? Sitting up, Naruto was confused to see that he was in a sewer. Damp, yellowish cracked walls, rusty, or was it moldy? Pipes ran along on some bits of the walls and all along the ceiling, steady drips coming from some joints, creating the only sound Naruto could hear other than his own breathing. It's so quiet. Used to having some other sounds around him, whether it's people far off or near, wildlife, a stream somewhere, or even the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves, it was unsettling to only be able to hear himself and the echoing drips of water around him. How did I get here? And where is everyone? Naruto could see that he was in one hallway, a tunnel. And straining to look ahead, he could see that there was a fork in the hallway tunnel. A wetness seeping into his shirt and pants brought Naruto's attention to something else. He was sitting in a puddle. In a sewer. In a rusty old sewer that looked as if it had been around for a long while. Ew. That's nasty. Scrambling to his feet, Naruto attempted to wring out his shirt and pants. Who knows what's been sent down here? Ugh, deal with it later. His disgust put aside for the moment, in a secluded box at the far ends of his mind, Naruto tried to think about what had happened to have put himself into this position. What did I do? Get shoved into the toilet? Nah, I'm not that clumsy, and I wouldn't be able to fit either. Besides, there isn't anywhere I would have been I dunno flushed from, anyway. Which was true since, aside from some cracks in the walls, there wasn't any hole or anything that sewage would come in from. Maybe I'm in a waterway. Aw, that's gross, I'm drinking water that came from here. Yuck. Or maybe this is the place where rainwater and stuff comes before it gets clean, but there isn't any current, so where's the water coming from? Where's it leaving? Did all this water come from the drips? Geez, great, if I can't find my way out, it'll be a slow death. A very, very slow death. But how did I get here? I feel like I know how I got here, but I can't get anything solid. Maybe I can find something that'll jog my memory. Looking behind him, all he could see was darkness. How does this place get lit? There's no lights that I can see. Figuring that action was better than waiting for death, and a long wait for one. At that, Naruto headed down the lit hallway. What? Nice-ish lit hallway tunnel thing versus dark creepy hallway where I'm going to probably trip and fall on something pointy. Which would you have chosen? Stopping when he reached the fork. If it has 3 ways, does it still count as a fork? Creepy tunnel A, B, or C? Not too fond of the options. Tunnel A, to the left, Tunnel B, straight ahead, and Tunnel C, to the right, all look the same, with only minor differences. Tunnel A looked the oldest, with Tunnel C looking the second oldest. Tunnel B looked relatively new-ish whatever. Back to differences. They were all the same yellowish color, with the same rusty pipes running along some parts of the wall and all along the ceiling, but Naruto felt like they gave off a different color. Does that even make sense? It was kind of like they gave off different feelings, but whether it made sense or not, it was more of a color feeling than an emotional one, though they each gave off some of those too. Tunnel A, for instance. It seemed to have a blue feeling. Not blue as in sad or unhappy, just blue, like on a clear day. The feeling it gave off was kind of lonely and resigned, but at the same time it gave off a sense of purpose and a kind of faraway happiness, like it only came by for short visits with long intervals. Okay, so that's a lot of emotion, but it still feels more like a color. Same for the rest of them. Tunnel B felt purple. Or violet, whatever. Everything felt kind of new, like if you just started a new book, or if you got some new jutsu to learn, or if you had been drawing something for a long time, then started to draw something new. It was refreshing, but at the same time pretty intimidating. Along with the new feeling, there was a lot of confusing and conflicting emotions. Like an intense happiness offset by flashes of dread, excitement dampened by disappointment, a great strength of will pushed by a deep fear. I'm not sure if I should like or fear this tunnel. Tunnel C gave off a glowing red feeling. It also felt old. Really old. Even though Tunnel A seemed to be the oldest tunnel, this tunnel gave off the feeling that it had been around longer. Like if you had put an old man's mind into a child's body or put a 100-year-old tree into a new neighborhood. Overall, it was the ocean to Tunnel A's lake. Aside from the old feeling, there's only a few other feelings. A sort of cunning playfulness, an age-old wisdom, and an unpredictable and earth-shattering rage. The playfulness was easy to connect to. It gave the same feeling as the voice did. That was only one though. The wisdom was easy to understand, feeling like it came with the oldness. The rage was what caught Naruto's attention the most out of those three. It was a bone-chilling, deep-seated rage that seemed like it would swallow you whole, crushing the life out of you. The fact that it feels like the voice is as much a safe feeling as that anger is a dangerous one. And that old feeling is kind of intimidating. The bleak yet happy Tunnel A, the intimidatingly new Tunnel B, or the safe but dangerous Tunnel C. Those are my options, huh? What if one of them leads to another and I end up heading back here? Maybe I should make a mark somewhere or something to show that I was here. Looking down, Naruto noticed that he didn't have his weapons pouch on him. What? The only time I take it off is when I'm home or getting ready for bed. Oh yeah. Almost forgot about this one. Opening his too small orange jacket. Hey, didn't I rip this? Yup, a rip down the back. Sigh. He rummaged through his inner pockets, giving off a relieved sigh when his hand came in contact with the hilt of his just-in-case kunai. Pulling it out, he brushed his stomach. Heh, just the opposite of when I remember. I got away from those freaky wacko girls to find Kakashi and tell him my bloodline use. Yeah. I burst into the hotel room and was all like, Kakashi-sensei. I figured it out. What? It took you this long to figure it out? What? You mean you already knew? I got momentarily sidetracked by Sasuke, who was sitting in his emo corner of emo-ness. Yeah, I figured you already knew that you were an idiot, dope. Jackass. Trying to ruin my mood. But he won't succeed. Stupid team. Stupid team, not even you are going to ruin my mood. Kakashi-sensei. Where are you? Kakashi's head peeked out from the doorway to the bedrooms, orange book in hand. Quiet down, Naruto. Now, what is it? You figure out a use? Yeah. I sure did. See, dodging around the pile of stuff that I had dropped off earlier, I flung myself towards Kakashi, holding my notebook out in front of me. I just managed to stop myself from barreling over him, shoving my notebook in front of his face. Pushing the notebook from directly in front of his face, Kakashi put his own book into a pocket with a sigh. Taking the notebook from where I still held it out, he headed back through the doorway. Following him, I saw that he had sat down on one of 3 chairs in the room. There were 2 beds also in the room, with a night table between them. Grabbing a chair for myself, I practically vibrated in my seat, watching him read through my notes. Kakashi didn't give away what he was thinking as he scanned down the page. I can't see how it would be of use medically, and I don't think it would help out with anything technical. If that's what you were. No. Next page. Sasuke wandered in at that moment, grabbing the last seat, raising an eyebrow at the notebook. Asshole, looks like he doesn't believe that I could make a list. Team Haku and Zabuza also made their way in, moving to sit at the edge of the bed closest to the chairs. Anything? What? I thought Zabuza would have at least a little faith. Apparently, it's on the next page, so give me a second. Sasuke and I kept watching him as he read, Zabuza and Haku muttering to each other. What were they saying? That was unimportant at the moment. I almost jumped when Kakashi jerked his head up to give me a wide-eyed stare. When he didn't say anything, I started to get a little self-conscious. What? Only about $16? Really? Was there a sale? I almost fell out of my chair. He's focusing on that. Yes and no. Supposedly, I was the 30-something customer. Now, keep reading. Kakashi gave me one last stare and looked back down. Sasuke gave me a questioning glance. PSSH, as if I'm telling him anything. You can find out from Kakashi, bastard. Oh, Kakashi's looking up. This is. What's with all the pauses? What? Is he going to say it's crap or something? Actually really good. I hadn't thought about using it out of the field, and this helps the village directly too. Good job, Naruto. I admit that I didn't think that you'd make something as organized as this. Taking the notebook from Kakashi's hand, he reached just before Sasuke. Haha, suckers. Abusa sat back down and flipped back to the first page, Haku leaning in to read as well. It wasn't long until they flipped a page, and an even shorter amount of time until Zabuza started laughing and Haku smiled, both with looks of amazement in their eyes. "You're one surprising kid." Sasuke snatched the notebook and scanned through the second page. Then he blinked and reread it, then turned to the first page. He looked kind of startled. Looking up, he opened his mouth to say something. TCH, probably going to say something like only a dope like you. Dope, you bang. The door slammed open to show a frowning Sakura, clutching some bags in one hand and a receipt in the other. Pant, who? Hey, aren't those? Hey, Sakura, what are you doing with my clothes? Her eyes shot to me, pinning me with a fierce glare. Yours? You're telling me you got these clothes from X-Nu? For only $15.75. Huh? Well, those clothes are from Expensive Ninja and everyday wear, and yeah, it was only about $16. Evidently, I was the 30-something th customer today, why do you ask? Why is she making such a big deal about it? They're only clothes. I never actually got a look at them. Well, all I really noticed was that there wasn't nearly enough orange. What's wrong with them? Is it all bum clothing? But this shirt is cool, if a little tight. Wow, it went really quiet. Why is everyone looking at me? Or is there something behind me? Checking behind me, all I could see was the wall. Nope, so what? I didn't see the fist flying towards my face at all. I didn't even see how Sakura managed to get from across the room in such a short amount of time. All I saw was wide-eyed stares from the others and made a mental note to bug Sasuke about his dorky expression, then a sudden pain, then darkness. Wow, Sakura has a mean punch, I thought to myself, rubbing my newly blackened eye. But that isn't quite how I got here. Of all places, Sakura's strong, but not strong enough to send me into the sewers. I couldn't help but strain to look behind me, checking the ceiling for a hole in the ground for rubble. Nope and nope. Besides, I remember things that happened after that. Oh man, the agony going through that once was one time too many. I woke up to the smell of something burning and the sound of the others talking around me. If something's burning, then why am I so cold? And it was true, I was really friggin' cold. Sure is drafty. Wow, my ass sure is comfy. From what I felt through my back, I figured I was on a bed, but something wasn't right. Why could I feel so much of the bed? I should be able to feel sheets partway up my calves, not all the way to my thighs. I should feel a lump around my waist from where I tied my orange jacket around my waist. Maybe they took it off so I would be comfy. And what's with that burning smell? Maybe I dunno, get up or open my eyes or something and check out what's burning. Maybe someone's cooking. Nah, everyone here can cook. Opening my eyes, I took in my surroundings. Kakashi, Zabuza and Haku were sitting in the chairs, talking in whispers too low for even my hearing to pick up. Sasuke had his back to me, leaning against a doorway and looking to where I assumed was the mini kitchen. Mini, because it has a mini fridge, a small toaster, a skinny stove and a too small sink. Sakura wasn't in sight. Looking down at myself, I realized why I was so chilled. I was only wearing the black t-shirt from that X something or other that I put on earlier and a pair of the black silk boxers. They took off my pants and changed my boxers. What the fuck? Who does that? And what the hell is that burning smell? I was starting to get a feeling of dread deep in my stomach as I shot out of bed and shoved past the team, who, by the way, was wearing that damn smirk of his. To see what was happening in the mini kitchen, to see what I feared was happening. What I saw was worse than waiting the 3 minutes for ramen. Yes, it deserves a capital letter. It's that awesome a food. Heck, it was worse than running out of ramen. There was Sakura, standing in front of the skinny stove, my currently half-empty pack sitting next to her, grinning evilly as she watched wisps of smoke escape from the stove. And what was smoking in the stove, you may ask? It seemed pretty obvious, but even so, I ran to the stove, jerked open the door, turning the switch to off, and could only stare, open-mouthed at the burning scraps that had been all of my orange clothes in my pack. Naruto, come on. You can't be that angry. You have other things to wear. How could she say that I can't be angry? I have every right to be, and I am. They burned my clothes. Sure, they left my boxers and socks, but still. They burned my clothes. You burned my clothes. HN, you were a walking target in those, dope. Would you go out and buy all those other clothes if you weren't going to wear them? Stupid team, that is not the point. That's not the point. You burned my freaking clothing. My clothing. Besides, I was forced by the crazy lady in the store. You got forced to buy something by an old lady. No. Stop trying to twist my words, you asshole. I just went in there cause I needed one shirt, just one, and she grabbed me and started piling clothes into my arms, talking about some discount or another, and I was too freaked out by the prices which were all 3-digit numbers to do anything. Then, she cashed everything up before I could do anything, shoved one of the shirts on me, then pushed me out the door. What was I supposed to do? Fight an old lady, geez, besides, you burned my clothing. Wait, what? Oh, the match happy stove happy whatever Pyro speaks up. And what does she mean, what? I figured it was obvious. I am seriously doubting my crush on her at the moment. You burned my clothing. No, not that, Baka. Would you need to buy a shirt? She's focusing on that. And the team's looking curious too. Both of them are missing the point. How's my other one ripped? Now, focus. That isn't the prob. It ripped. How? What's with the doubt in the bastard's voice? Is it so shocking it ripped? And what does it matter how it ripped? It just did. Well, it was weird how it ripped in both the front and back. Yes, it ripped. I was helping out a shopkeeper person with lifting a crate and it ripped down the front and the back. Happy. Now, let's move on from how interesting my having ripped a t-shirt is and get to what is important. Why did you burn my clothes? I practically spat the word burn. Sakura had the grace to look ashamed. We're sorry, Naruto. I'm not. Bastard. Asshole. Jerk. Butt face. Octopus. But it was for your own good. You would have presented yourself to be skewered by an enemy ninja and, what? I can take care of myself. I ain't gonna die from being hit by a few kunai. Since I'm going to be the next Hoka. And, with that bright orange, you're likely to give away our position. Orange kind of stands out in most conditions. Like in the forest, well, maybe, but, and in snowy regions, sure, but, and in grassy areas, ooh, and even in cities and towns. Are you getting our point? Sure, we could have gone about it a little more delicately. I had to snort at that. But would you have actually listened to us? Or would you have just gone on about how you like your own clothes and how you don't care about what others think? I wasn't about to go and admit that what she was saying was making sense. I was still angry with her, and you don't really agree with people you are angry with, but I would give her a break. Even so, I couldn't help but shoot back. But I do like my clothes. And when she looked as if she was about to say something about that, I cut in. Dude, I do understand where you're coming from. And I guess I can deal with wearing a little less orange, maybe limited to a shirt or something, but not all the time. As if I was going to change everything just because they wanted me to. Maybe I'll wear all orange on my days off, maybe even get an orange cloth for my hit I ate he, that'll be fun. I couldn't help but grin a little when I imagined what their faces would look like if when I came in with an orange hit I ate. I noticed Sasuke and Sakura share a surprised and slightly uneasy glance when I smiled, and it just made it wider. Deciding to change the subject, I asked something that had been nagging me since after Sakura slugged me. Hey, Sakura, would you punch me? Was that a blush I was seeing? I saw the clothes bag and checked inside to see what it was, and then I saw the receipt and the brand name. I was a little angry that one of you managed to get this kind of price. I had assumed that it was that the one who bought them was Sasuke-kun, so when you said it was yours, I kind of freaked. I'm still a little jealous, but you of all people deserve these clothes. That last bit was said with a smile and Sasuke smirking. Wonder why. Wait, what? Later that night, after I yelled at Kakashi-sensei about not stopping Sakura and Sasuke from burning my clothes, his reply. I didn't notice and you should work these things out on your own, anyway. Sakura, Sasuke, and I were relaxing in one of the bedrooms, Sakura and I each lying on a bed, and Sasuke perched on the edge of the bed I was on. We had been trying on the new clothes for the past little bit, well, I was, since Sakura insisted I see how they looked on me. But now I was in my PJs after I got tired of Sakura's random squealing and Sasuke's weird emo stares. We were just talking about random things, like what would happen if we hid Kakashi's book, moving to talking about my obviously selective photographic memory, which led to more talk about my stupid bloodline. Why do we have to talk about it? Arg, it's so embarrassing. Well, I guess I'll have to get used to it. I'm probably going to have to talk about it a lot. Once we get back to Konoha, oh, joy, maybe I can just pretend I don't have a bloodline. Hey, Naruto, that was from Sakura. Probably a question about my bloodline, maybe I can just tell people that I dyed my hair. Can you see the spots through a mirror? Or maybe I can what? Well, I mean, can you see the spots indirectly? Like through reflection, or like through a video, or something. She was staring contemplatively at the mirror set up in the corner of the room. Why didn't I notice it there? Why would I need to see the spots of people through a video? It's a good question, but still. I don't want to see actors' zones. Oh, it's a good question. Just answer it. Damn team. Fine. I'll at least check the mirror for that. Heaving myself up and trudging towards the mirror, I closed my eyes for a second and found that spot that I knew would flip the switch on my bloodline. Reaching the mirror, I looked sulkily at my violet-slitted eyes. Seriously, purple. Ugh, at least there's still some blue around my freaky pupils, but the red around the edge is freaky. Adjusting myself so I could see my teammates in the mirror, I was kind of unsurprised to see their spots still. Besides, what does it matter if I can see them in the mirror? I couldn't help think to myself I can still feel where the spots are. Heck, I'm across the room and I can feel where their spots are. Yup, I can see them big friggin' whoop wow, it was really hard to get excited over this. What's with the sarcasm? Sakura demanded, flushing lightly. No need to get all angry. Well, it's not that great that I can see them through the mirror, since you are across the room from me, and I can feel where your spots are. I guess that being able to see the spots through a reflection would be pretty good if this is the limit of how far I can feel where spots are, but who's to say that my range won't grow? Geez, you'd think they'd forgotten about my feel for the spots. Wait, did I actually? What feel? You mean you can just tell where the spots are? Without looking? That was from Sasuke. Why does he sound so angry? What did he think I was keeping this from him intentionally? Trying to keep my teammates in the dark. I thought I told them. Yes, and I thought I told you. Or at least mentioned it. Stop making me seem like the bad guy. Sakura cut Sasuke off when he opened his mouth to deliver some scathing comment or something. Wow, I never thought that I'd see the day. Whatever, let's just file it away as something interesting. There was a sullen look from Sasuke and almost an uncomfortable silence followed. Wow, it's too quiet. Maybe I should say something. Do we have ramen here? But then Ichiraku's ramen won't be quite as rewarding when I get back, and any ramen here wouldn't compare anyway. Maybe. Oh, can you see any spots on yourself? Why do people interrupt my thoughts? You wait, what did he just ask? What? My voice cracked halfway through the word. Wow, that sounded weird. Hey, did I like hit puberty through that bloodline change? Is that why my voice is a little deeper? Oh, wait, this is unimportant at the moment. Back to the issue of Sasuke asking stupid questions. Did he break or something to ask that? You heard me, dope. Can you see spots on yourself? I couldn't speak, so I turned to Sakura, hoping that she would be able to vocalize how stupid that question was, how utterly ridiculous it was. But no, she didn't look shocked. She looked curious. Curious. I feel like my brain is short-fusing. God, first my clothes, now they're trying to burn out my brain. WWH, what? How is that relevant at all? And why would I want to? The team rolled his eyes, but it was Sakura who answered. Well, you've used it against me when we were training and it felt pretty well, it felt, well that's not the point, but it's understandable. So, can you? What the hell, that didn't make any sense at all. It's understandable. Ugh, I'm teammates with total nut jobs. Better get this over with, but after this, I'm shoving this memory to the farthest corners of my mind, locking it up and flushing the key. Sighing irritably and reactivating my eyes. When did I switch them off? I looked down. Nothing. No spots. Looking up to tell them no, I can't. I stopped short when I saw a faint glow coming from under my shirt. What the hell? I can see other people's spots through their clothes. Ignoring the looks from my teammates, they have no say in this matter, since they were the ones to ask. I lifted my shirt to see what was happening. How dare something be happening in my shirt without my knowledge? It was the weird tattoo-ish birthmark spiral thingy that, now that I think about it, was probably the thing sealing the 9 tails in me. If I got it removed in a tattoo shop, would that release the fox? It was glowing like a normal spot, but it wasn't red, white, or black. It was glowing purple. Purple again. Why does it have to be purple? The glow shifted, like there was a purple fire just under the surface of my skin. Not a good thought. Kept in shape by the swirl of the mark. So? You got a mark on your stomach or something, dope. Looking up, I noticed Sakura and Sasuke looking between me and my stomach. Oh yeah, they're still here. It's the spiral mark. It's glowing purple, I replied, looking back down at the Crayola purple glow that was my belly. Purple now? Is this something else that you forgot to tell us? I thought there were only red, black, and white spots. There was a clear accusation in the team's voice. What's with all the accusations? No, this is new to me too. I wonder what's up. I sent a little bit of chakra to my stomach and was mildly surprised to see the purple glow turn more bluish. I sent a small look of surprise to Sasuke and Sakura, noticing Sasuke had activated his Sharingan and Sakura had a slightly worried look on her face. She said something, but I didn't really hear what. I was focused on the glow from my stomach, moving a chakra-filled finger over the spiral, starting from my belly button and working my way outward. When I reached the end of the spiral, I was slightly disappointed when nothing happened. I didn't feel any different. There was nothing new. I looked up to my teammates with a small frown on my face, ready to tell them that it didn't feel like anything when I felt my stomach leap to reside in my chest. It felt like the floor had opened up underneath me and I was only momentarily held up, just like in a cartoon, until I would drop. My throat closed up and my eyes rolled to the back of my head. Then, there was only darkness. Then there was only darkness. Then, there was only darkness. Oh, yeah, but what happened after that? That doesn't explain why I'm in a sewer, water treatment thingy, or whatever this place is supposed to be. He strained to remember whether there was anything after that, anything that could have landed him in a sewer, but there was just a blank. It felt like there was darkness, and then he was here. And now, I've been staring at tunnel A, B, and C like a dork. Well, I went down memory lane. I can't remember anything else past the darkness, and I've already figured out that there was no place for me to have been brought down from, no holes I could have been sent down from. Maybe I should just pick a tunnel already and see where it takes me. Bleak, yet happy, blue tunnel A, intimidatingly new purple tunnel B, or safe but dangerous, red tunnel C. I guess I could go down one, then come back and head down another if it comes to a dead end. I guess tunnel A is pretty safe, but I should still make a mark on the wall or something. He still had his kunai in his hand, and he moved it along the wall to the left, making an arrow heading into tunnel A, then he headed determinedly into the tunnel. The first thing Naruto noticed was the fact that there were a lot more cracks on the walls. They spilled across and up the walls like overlapping spider webs, some parts looking like someone attempted to patch them up but gave up halfway through. Oh, great, I just have to choose the tunnel that looks half a crack away from caving in. Looking up, Naruto noticed that there were mainly blue pipes in the ceiling. I knew it felt blue. But he hadn't walked long before skinny red pipes started popping up between the blue ones. It was around that same time when Naruto came to a door. What the hell? Slowing down to a stop in front of the door, Naruto could only stare at it for a minute. It looked so out of place, all clean lines in a tunnel full of cracks. It was blue, the same shade of blue as the pipes, and it had an untarnished silver handle. That's odd, and this has been down here how long? Oh well, better see what's behind it, it may be an exit. But that thought, Naruto grabbed the handle and gave a twist. Cold. Dark. Screaming. Me? Yes, but someone else too. Hungry. Cold. Was warm before. Want to go back. Where is everyone? Want to see. Crashes. What? Cold. Screaming. Hungry. Need something. Someone food. Someone. Warmth. So alone. Where is everyone? So cold. Someone's picking me up. Someone warm. Food. No. But comforting. Person smells good. But metallic. Making sounds. Don't know what. Feeling in stomach. Set on something soft. Surrounding light. More sounds. Silence. Cold feeling on stomach. Sudden warmth. Taken again. Air moving. Wind. Sudden movement. More wind. Loud noises. Bigger noise made by someone else. Rumbling noise made by another someone. More nice noise by person. Same nice smell. Smoke. Sudden silence. Unaware. Wake up. Person isn't there. Why? Come back. Old voice. Bony person picking me up. No. Wrong person. Bad feeling. Wet on face. Screaming. Me? Yes. Others? Yes. Many others. Come back person. Please. Don't leave me alone. Naruto jerked his hand away, as if he had been burned. What the fuck was that? I didn't see anything, but that is definitely not the exit. Staggering further down the hallway, he tried to gather his thoughts, tried to shake the feeling of complete isolation, of being abandoned, of being alone. Not going to touch a doorknob again. Well, maybe that's not the best way to go about finding a way out, but maybe if I just use my fingertips or cover my hand with my shirt. With possibilities running through his mind, he made his way down the tunnel, dreading the sight of another door. A while later he saw another door. A heavy feeling in his chest, he slowly reached out and touched the door, fully expecting for another episode to happen like with the last door. Nothing. Well, I feel stupid now, better try the handle. Oh, joy. Reaching for the door handle, this time less hesitantly but still wincing, he turned the handle and immediately felt the floor drop out from beneath him. Just like how I got here, maybe it'll take me. Walking down the street, I could feel the cold stares from people throughout the street. Why do they hate me? I didn't do anything wrong, it isn't fair. And they make the other kids treat me differently too. How am I so different? Sure, I have the marks on my cheeks, but so do Kiba and Chaoji, and they don't get treated any different. It's just not fair. When I'm Hokage, things will be different for sure. Then they'll have to respect me. Oof. I was so wound up in my thoughts, I guess I wasn't paying attention and bumped into someone. Oh no, I hunched up my shoulders, wincing away from the person with my head bowed, fully expecting a cuff to the head or a kick. I peeked up from beneath my bangs when the hit didn't come. It was Iruka-sensei. He wasn't my sensei, at least not yet. He would be in a month and a half when the school year started. I couldn't wait till then, because then I would get to learn cool ninja moves and jutsu, and the other kids wouldn't be able to ignore me, at least in class, and their parents couldn't pull them away from playing with me. It would be great. But for the 43 more days, Iruka-sensei wasn't technically my teacher. Not yet. Anyway, he gave me an odd look. The orientation thingamajig was 3 days ago, where parents brought their kids to see the school they were going to and got to meet their teachers. Well, I didn't have parents, old man Hokage came with me. The other parents weren't openly glaring at me when he was around or when those ninja with the mask Sanbu, I think, were around, so that was good. Iruka-sensei hadn't given me a glare when I got introduced to him, but I don't know if it was just because it was the old man who was introducing me to him. Right now, he was giving me a look that looked pretty sad, and he was frowning too, but he also looked like he was fighting with some decision. After a moment, he seemed to decide. The frown was gone now, and only a shadow of the sadness was left in his eyes, then he gave me something that I didn't get too often. He smiled at me. Although I didn't lower my hunched shoulders completely, I lowered them slightly, raising my head a little to give him a little grin, muttering an apology for walking into him. His smile widened, the scar over his nose crinkling slightly. Then, he asked me something that totally shocked me. He asked if I wanted to get something to eat, maybe talk over what the school year would hopefully be like. Overjoyed, I happily accepted, asking if he wanted to go to Ichiraku's, just stopping short of grabbing his arm and pulling him there in my excitement. He may be nice now, but best not to push my luck. He accepted, commenting on how he liked going there, and we set off down the street, ignoring the looks from others down the street. I was jumping for joy, even risking touching his arm to hurry him before. Yanking his hand back, he stared at the door, shaking slightly. That was me, before I joined the academy. What the frig was that? I actually remember that, so what the hell? Does that mean that other door was another memory or something? Then, why weren't there any images? Why was it so dark? He stumbled his way down the hallway, still shaking, with thoughts running through his mind, trying to figure out what had just happened. I don't remember that other door, the dark one. But what actually made it dark? Was I blinded or no? That one was more feeling than anything. Maybe it was from when I was a baby. From when I hadn't even opened my eyes yet. Then who was the person and what was happening? Using the cracked walls for support, I vaguely noticed that the walls were crumbling more in this area, or that there were more red pipes running along with the blue. But my eyes were farther ahead, looking for the next door. But what if the doors aren't actually memories? What if it was just that one door that was a memory and the other was something else entirely different? As unlikely as it seemed, it would be best to check. In any case, the next door might be the exit from wherever this fucked up place is. I don't care where it leads, but the first exit I find, I'm taking it. Frig, where the hell is the no? There it is. Letting go of the wall, he sped towards the next door, barely seeing anything but the battered cracking doorknob before he grabbed it and twisted it open, feeling the floor fall out from him just like the last time. Only this time, he didn't just land into himself. He landed in himself while falling hard to the ground. I scrambled to get to my feet, feeling my body scream as I did so. A boot came crashing into my ribcage, bringing me back down from the half crouch I managed to get myself into. Another boot followed from behind to smash into my back, knocking the wind out of me and surely leaving a bruise, if not breaking something. Half curled up, I tried to rise again and coughed up blood. Someone grabbed my hair, twisting savagely, forcing my face upwards, just in time to catch a fist to the face. There was a crunching sound, and suddenly something wet dripped down my face, the coppery taste of blood filling my mouth until I felt like I was going to drown. My head was shoved to the ground, and I barely had enough time to move my hands to block myself from the unforgiving asphalt. I didn't know how I managed to stumble into a run, heading towards the main street, not bothering to call for help. No one would answer. Something whistled past my ear, clipping the skin as it went by to add a new hurt to my already aching body. It didn't matter at the moment. All that mattered was that my legs hadn't given out yet, and that meant I could run away. Only a few feet from the brightly lit street, something hit me hard in the back of my head. It hurt, oh, it hurt, but I still had to run. Now on the street, only half of the danger was over. They could no longer hurt me directly, but if they ran after me and caught me, then the hurt would double. I couldn't go to the hospital, no help there, and it's too far to get to the old man. I had to get to my apartment. There were seals in my apartment that they wouldn't be able to get past, and this time the thugs weren't ninja. The streets were spinning beneath my feet and I kept on bumping into people, but I didn't care. Gotta get home, please, just let me get home, please. I guess that answers that. Ugh, would it have to be that one? He sagged back against the wall opposite the door, sliding down to sit, dropping his head to his knees. Shaking, he looked up at the door, just now noticing the state it was in. No, not just now, I noticed the cracked doorknob. God, why didn't I stop? The door was just about off its hinges, bending outwards as if something large and heavy had been slamming against it for hours, large cracks running across it. It had scuff marks, patches covered in filth, and chipped bits, making it look as if it had been thrown down a cliff, then left in mud. Its handle, as he noticed before, was battered and cracking, brass to the other door's silver. Stupid, stupid. I'm so stupid. Tiredly getting up again, he made his way down the hall, feeling in a daze. I guess I have to go through the rest of the doors. I guess it's all my memories, but what happens when the doors stop? Am I dead? Is this the whole eye flashing before your eyes thing? Well, it's not really flashing, and there's 2 other tunnels so whatever, I'll just keep checking the doors for an exit still, I can't help but wonder what's in the other tunnels. So, continuing on his way down the tunnel, he tried each door, re-experiencing parts of his life, some good, some not so much, but none of them were exits. The doors just went on and on. Door, open, the day the academy was teaching henge. Door with dent in it, open, making up Warwick no Jutsu and getting hit. Or with 2 dents in it, open, learning the Kawamiri and combining it with Warwick no Jutsu, then getting hit twice. Pink door, open, crush on Sakura-chan. Gray door, open, failed test. The doors just went on and on, moving past pranks, training, tests, and actions. How much time had passed, he didn't know, but he started to slow down when he noticed that the memories were from the past few years. It was a scary thought that he would reach a door that would show him being stupid and tracing the spiral on his stomach, his last memory before he ended up here. But what about after that? Door, open, failing graduation. Would I just be stuck here? Door, open, stealing the forbidden scroll. Would I just be roaming this dank place, just watching my life, over and over again? Door, open, Haruka-sensei giving me his headband. What if I just don't exist after it? Door, open, teamed up with Sasuke and Sakura, and final test with Kakashi-sensei. What was the point of any of this if I do? Door, open, first C-rank mission, first fight. Would anyone actually miss me? Door, open, Zabuza encounter. Would anyone remember me? Door, open, talk with Haku. Did I do anything that's worth remembering? Door, open, fight on bridge. Oh god, how many more frigging doors are there? Why the hell are these doors' memories so close together? I just did all these things in the past week. What the fuck? The next door better be a fucking exit because I am not going to die, I have not died, and I am not going to deal with this anymore. No more what ifs, no more would any what the hell. He had walked for a while, and there hadn't been any more doors. Now, a familiar sight was ahead. A fork in the tunnel. Walking closer, he saw that it broke off 3 ways, and the tunnel going left had an arrow carved into the wall heading into it. I couldn't help it, how the fuck did that happen? I didn't turn, there was no bend, so how the hell did I walk a straight line and end up back here? Sagging against the wall, still staring at the arrow that I had carved into the wall, I tried to piece together what the hell had happened to put me back here. Best to start in the beginning. Okay, wake up in this place, walk for a bit, try to figure out how I got here, categorize the tunnels, pick a tunnel and carve arrow heading into said tunnel, head straight into tunnel, figure out that doors are memories, continue straight while checking doors for exit, have mini freak out about last door, walk straight here and there aren't any turns or bends in that. Okay. So the only way that I wouldn't have noticed walking in a circle is if it was a really slight curve, so then it would be a really big circle, wouldn't it? Fuck, how frigging long have I been walking? Fuck, why didn't I buy a watch? Because it felt weird, I think. Whatever. That's no excuse. I bet stupid Sasuke team has a friggin' watch. Wait, why did I need a watch again? Oh yeah, because I walked a straight line for who knows how long aiming to go from point A to point B and ended up at point fucking A again without turning. Arg. Ha. Okay there Naruto, calm down, think about this. What's one way to figure this out? Oh. I know, I'll just turn around and run back the way I came. It'll take way shorter if I run and don't stop for the doors. Good job Naruto. Thank you Naruto. Okay, freaking myself out. Time to figure out this stupid place. Whoever designed it should be shot in the head. Twice. Turning around, I started to jog, keeping my eyes forward and along the walls to try to see a curve. Any curve or maybe a part where this tunnel splits off. I wonder if the other 2 tunnels all led here too. Maybe I should start counting to help keep track of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got to 7 counts of 60, keeping track with my fingers, still paying avid attention to the walls when I noticed something odd. Where are all the doors? 48, 49, 50, that last little bit wasn't this long, but then again, I'm running now, or wouldn't that mean that it'd take less time to get to a door than it did when I was walking? That's 8, 1, 2, 3, I think so, and it makes sense. 10, 11, 12. When I got to 11 minutes, I squinted ahead, hoping to see a door, and was relieved when I saw something ahead. Speeding up, a strange weight in my chest, I kept counting, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. Oh fuck, now that isn't right. How the fuck did that happen? Ahead, a stupidly familiar sight was coming closer. A fork that split 3 ways, and maybe it's a different fork. An arrow pointing into the far left tunnel. Fuck. It's following me. Stupid fucking tunnel. Fuck, 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 fuck. I lashed out at the tunnel wall, containing a yelp of pain as the force of the blow chipped and cracked the wall, leaving a small indentation in the already cracked wall. Oh, ouch. Stupid wall, stupid tunnels. Ouch. Ugh, no, what stupid tunnel? I am going to ignore you. You can be stupid by yourself. I'm going to find my way out and that's final. I'm going to be the mature one here. So there. Naya. I stuck out my tongue at the fist imprint to further prove my point, then turned my attention to the important problem at hand. Ouch, it hurts. Which tunnel do I go down, intimidatingly new purple tunnel B, or the safe but dangerous red tunnel C? In comfort levels, I'd go down tunnel C, because it at least feels halfway safe, but wait, is that what the stupid tunnel wants? Is it just waiting for me to go for the one I'm more comfortable with so it can mess with my head and have me walk for possible hours and just end up back here again? Ha. I'm onto you, stupid tunnel. I know your games now. I'm going down tunnel B. So there. Stupid tunnel. Wahaha. Still laughing at the stupidity of the stupid tunnel, that's its title now. It really is. I marched into tunnel B. And my discomfort levels immediately shot up. Damn you stupid tunnel, but I will not let this beat me. Believe it. Feeling like my stomach was trying to rearrange itself, I took a deep breath and continued walking. Looking around, I noticed that the walls were relatively smooth, with only a few cracks here and there, occasionally with a chunk of the wall all bumped out, like the person in charge with smoothing the walls had decided to skip that hand-sized bit. Lazy stupid tunnel maker. It wasn't long until the first door of tunnel B showed up. I wasn't sure whether that was a good thing or a bad thing, seeing as how this tunnel's doors could be more memories, in which case I'd probably start freaking out as soon as it got more recent, what happens after the last door. Or it could be something totally different, but if it's totally different, then would the doors stop short from my last memory? This door had a certain theme, like a few of the others, but instead of a few cracks or dents or scratches, this door looked like it was a few seconds away from bursting into flames. The door itself looked to be made of metal, the color ranging from a deep cherry red of cooling metal to the bright red that made spots appear in front of your eyes if you stared at it too long. Heat was rolling off of it in waves, causing my eyes to sting and my hair to feel dry. The door handle didn't look to be as hot as the rest of the door, it was shiny silver and, like most of the other door handles, was completely untarnished. The door frame looked just as cool as the handle, which was reassuring since it was made of a light wood. At least I don't have to worry about catching on fire just yet, but if this door shows me something for a long while, would the heat from the door make my sleeve catch on fire? What if I don't notice it until after and by that time my arm will have to be amputated? Before I could think up other things that would make me run away from the door, I darted my hand towards the handle, hoping that it was, in fact, cool and not deceptively looking cool, and I was just about to sear my palms off. The now familiar sensation of the floor dropping out from beneath me gave me a flash of relief right before I was thrown into hell. Fire. Everything is burning. My skin was sizzling off, each cell feeling like it was individually bursting into flames, eating at my flesh like I would usually go at ramen. Oh god, it hurts. So much. I arched my spine when I felt like there was a searing blade of fire cutting slowly through muscle and ligaments. Oh, make it stop. The fire in my veins seemed to surge suddenly, burning hotter, faster, searing the insides of my lungs. I couldn't scream, I couldn't breathe. It was getting hotter and hotter, my heartbeat was pounding in my ears, th thump, th thump, th thump. There were muted voices, sounding so close, yet so far away, like I was sealed into a thick bubble and people were just outside of it. I stopped screaming to take a deep breath, inhaling burning air. When did I start screaming? I became oddly aware of insignificant things, trying to push the burning, the stinging, from my mind, but only succeeding on mixing the two. There was a pebble pushing into my back. Stupid rock. Tears were escaping my eyes, stinging my blistered cheeks before they evaporated. My nose had an itch just to the left, but I knew I couldn't scratch it because it would hurt. Stupid itch. All the hair on my body was burnt, eyelashes, eyebrows, everything. It also left a strong smell behind, leaving it to waft into my burnt nostrils. Stupid smell. Stupid rock. Stupid itch. Stupid smell. Stupid Naruto, getting into this stupid situation. I jerked my hand back, recoiling from the door. I crumpled to the floor, into the layer of water, curling up into the fetal position as I tried to hide from the flames that I knew weren't there, huddling into the water and searching for relief from scorched skin I knew wasn't burnt. Shivering, I stayed in that position for a few minutes, trying to move from the then to the now. I forgot when that happened. I didn't remember anything about it. It was just a blank, but now that blank's been filled and oh god, how did I survive that? Ugh, no, Naruto, I told myself sternly. You won't let this get to you, it's just a memory, and you're all healed up, and that's probably when you got your bloodline. No, it is when you got your bloodline. People don't just blow up for no reason. So get yourself together and move your butt down the hall and open the next fucking door. Pulling myself first into a crouch and then straightening to a stand, I slowly continued down the tunnel. I guess these doors are memories. Maybe tunnel A's memories are from before my bloodline showed up and this tunnel is after it showed up, but what would the third tunnel be? The next door came up pretty quickly, the glow from the last door was hardly out of sight. Unlike the previous door, this one was plain with a grey door and a brass handle. Not bothering to be hesitant about it, I grabbed the handle, again feeling the familiar leap from my stomach as the floor dropped out from beneath me. But this time, I knew exactly when this happened and I didn't get swept away with the memories. I'm looking in a mirror. It must have been when I woke up and first saw myself looking back on this or looking at this now. I don't see why I made such a big deal about this. I mean, the hair's pretty weird, but it's also pretty cool. I've definitely seen weirder. Really, the only weird thing about it is its color. Blonde at the roots, darkening to an orangey color, then a red, and the tips are almost black. They're such a dark color of red. I wonder whether it would stay that way if I cut my hair. I should probably do that in any case. It's down to the bottom of my neck. And my bangs are gonna get in my face even more. Even with the headband, my bangs are gonna get over it, maybe even keeping you from being able to see the leaf symbol. Or maybe I should just put the headband over it, but that would be itchy. Wow, how long did I actually stare at myself, and why is this entire memory about me staring at myself? Ah well, I did have a bit of a freak out when I saw myself. I'm bigger, in all ways, taller, have interesting hair, and I got a bloodline. But I still wish my eyes were a scarier color, something, anything, more intimidating than purple. My pupils are cool, all slit-like, and they have a bit more red around them, and it's cool that I still have a bit of my normal blue around the edges of my irises, but still purple. Wow, I think this memory's fading. Wow, I was staring at myself for a long time. Weird, ugh, that memory was a bit of a letdown after the last one. Not that I'm complaining that the worst that happened in this memory was a bit of narcissism. Moving down the corridor, I went through the doors as easily as I had in the last part of Tunnel A. The metal door that had a head-shaped dent, open, training with my new ability. Not surprising that it looked like someone had been banging their head against it. That was an awkward experience overall. Door, open, situation with the kid and letting him sleep with me. Awkward. The door, why these scribbles and notes over it, open, a small talk with Kakashi about the importance of figuring out a use, as well as me making notes. Felt so out of character there, well, except for the procrastinating. The pink door, open, being mauled by oldest, youngest, 1, 2, and 3. What were their names again? Whatever, I'm just going to pray that it was a once in several lifetimes kind of encounter. The door with dust spray painted on it, open, me figuring out the torture use. Cause I figured that out all on my own. Why does the door have that on it though? I really do wonder what's at the end of all these doors though. Wow, I've been walking for a while. No, oh, there's the next one, sure is dark ahead. Door, open, Sakura burned my clothes. I freaked out at her. Teammates and I started talking. They started asking questions. I traced the mark on my stomach. That was my last memory. And what's up next? I started walking down the hallway, trying to avoid the thought that if I headed along far enough, I would just end up back at the entrance to the tunnels again, noticing that the light seemed to be getting dimmer. Aw, I hope the stooges who built this place kept up with their electricity bills. There was something solid up ahead. It was getting closer and closer as I walked, and at the moment, I couldn't seem to make the connection that it was getting closer because I was walking towards it. Oh my god. It's a monster. Or no, maybe it's not a monster, maybe it's my death. But isn't death always described as a light at the end of the tunnel? But what if whoever started saying that just said it as a rumor? Or if they said that for people who were going to heaven or wherever good dead people go? What if, when you're a bad person and going to hell wherever bad people go, you see a black thing at the end of the tunnel? Or maybe the black thing is just blocking the light and I'm going to be stuck here forever and ever. Or maybe, hey, it's starting to just look like a wall. Feeling around it, all I could feel was the walls, and there wasn't any noticeable change between the walls surrounding me and the wall in front of me. So that takes out the possibility of a secret passage. This is really rough. It was true, the wall in front of me was rough and uneven, like someone had been chipping away at it with a stone, maybe someone who got trapped here before me. Bad thought. Besides, there's no bones corpse around me to prove that. Feeling around at the walls around me, I tried to find something, maybe a marker or something, and found something shocking. On either side of me, there were 2 branching tunnels, directly to the left and right of me, about a hand's length or 2 from my original path. They felt very familiar, but the one to my left didn't make any sense. To my left, the tunnel felt blue, and to my right, it felt red. It was Tunnel A and Tunnel C. Ooh, but that doesn't make any sense. There wasn't any turn when I went down Tunnel A, let alone a corner. What the fuck? This place is screwing with me. Stupid fucking place, stupid fucking tunnels. This place is just fucked up, down and sideways. Okay, insanely fucked up. Annoyingness of the tunnel aside, what the hell am I going to do now? I'm not going back up Tunnel A, I've already been there, and if I did that it'd probably bring me back to that stupid ass fork. I guess there's really only one option, since I don't want to turn around and head back up this tunnel. There's no exit. Tunnel C it is then. And with that in mind, I turned to the tunnel to the right and headed resolutely down it. Hey, since it's near the end, would that mean that I'm starting from the end of tunnel C? Oh well, whatever. Walking down the tunnel, I couldn't help but be a little uncomfortable, like if you went into a really ritzy old place with a lot of expensive antiques around it. There's the awe at the oldness of it, but at the same time, there's the worry that you're going to make a wrong move and break something. The walls were worn and smooth, very few cracks in the walls, and there was at once a smell like a campfire and the smell of green things, like pine trees and ferns. It was an odd combination, but coupled with a reassuring feeling of the voice, it was nice. The first or the last, would it still be considered the first if you start at the end? Door came up quickly. It was wrought iron, with heavy bolts and chains strung across it, and its handle was a curving swirl of iron of an ornate pattern. The door was already cracked ajar somewhat, and I wondered what that meant. Would this be another one of the violent memories? But I already finished all my memories with the last door, so maybe this is, like, maybe the future or something. Heh, maybe it's me as Hokage, XD, but that would be silly if I could see the future just by opening the door, but then again it's silly that I could see my past just by opening a door to him. Aw, screw it, I'll take the chance. I grabbed the handle, waiting for the floor to drop out from beneath me, and waited. What the fuck? The door swung inwards, revealing a shorter passage leading to an open space. The space was large, at least twice as tall as my apartment, maybe even taller than the old man's office, and was a little less than twice as wide as its height. Pipes in varying hues of blue, red and violet ran along the ceiling, some running along the walls in random parts and patterns. All of this was very impressive. I might even have been able to get an awesome echo in here, but what really caught my attention was the gigantic cage that ran the length of the room, the depth of which I couldn't tell because of the shadows. Moving forward, I stared in awe at the thick bars that ran from floor to ceiling. Wow. Peering into the darkness of the cage, I wondered what was in there and nearly had a heart attack. What are you doing here? Eyes. Really, really big eyes. And teeth. And nose. Okay, now how to make an appropriate response. Where'd I hear that voice? Ah. Jerking backwards towards the chain door I came from, stumbling slightly and jarring my tailbone. I gingerly got up, my eyes darting from one huge red eye to the next. Where had I heard that voice before? Stupid. Come closer. I did so, jerking back a second time when gigantic claws, that were bigger than me, darted from between the bars. Indignation smothered the fear, and I could feel myself flush slightly in anger. What the hell did you do that for? Asshole. The fanged mouth gave a to the p grin, a deep rumbling laugh, escaping as the huge slitted red eyes narrowed with amusement. I'll answer yours after you've answered me. And the sing-song tone did nothing for the indignation, though I could recognize the tone from somewhere. It calmed me slightly, though it didn't keep me from being only a little, huffy eye on my reply. HMPF, as if I know. Someone stranded me in this nightmare of a dump, and I found you now then, would you do that? You coulda killed me. Curiosity, that's all. I was wondering if it would 1. Break you from your fear, and 2. If you'd be able to move in time. That's all. And you say that you don't know how you got here? I think you have a bit of an idea, at least lem guess. You decided to trace the spiral mark on your stomach, didn't you? Idiot. The voice was teasing, the sound of it as easily categorized as male as female. It had an echo-a sound to it, most of which I lent to the acoustics of the room. It was so familiar, but where could I have? I mean, I've never met anyone who's this massive, and I've never been to this freaking sewer before in my life. I'd remember that. Heck, the only voice that I ever heard that was even remotely like this was, wait, now that I think about it, it's very much like holy crap, it's you. Yes. Me. It's the freaking voice. The freaking voice that I thought, and still think, was just me going insane isn't in my head any longer, and is here and huge and here and not in my head and really really big and has huge teeth, and it's here. Wait, it said before that it's a fox. Holy crap, that's a really big fox. Wait, did he or she just call me an idiot? And how did it know about that? This thing probably knows how to get out of here then. Escape. Freedom. How the hell do you get out of here? I demanded, moving closer to the giant bars, though not close enough that the voice could get at me. And who are you? How did you get into my head before? I see that you recognize my voice at least, and you'll be able to get out of here in due time. For the meantime, stay a while. I haven't had company in so long, and in any case, we needed to have a talk eventually, you and I. The fox's features moved down slightly, and I got the sense that he or she was settling herself down. What the hell? Tell me how to get out of here. I need to get back. Or what? Time works differently in here. What may feel like days in here would be only a few hours outside. And what would you do if I don't tell you? Look, kid, there's no harm in having a little chat with me. So why don't you stay for a bit, huh? Who the hell are you? If the voice isn't just something my subconscious brought up, then it must be someone, and though it's okay for a fox in my head to be labeled voice of fox in real life, even one as huge as this one has more than just a voice. Ooh, an interesting question. Well, though it would be easier to just tell you, where would be the fun in that? Here's a hint. There's only one giant fox. Ever. You know about that one giant fox from your history books. Now then, who am I? Stupid fox, stupid history, and stupid me for getting into this stupid situation. Arg. Okay, only one giant fox in existence and this baka is it. There has only ever been one giant fox, and he or she says that he or she is it. Well, the only giant fox I know of is dead, but this fox says he or she is the only one since ever, if that makes any sense. Wait, doesn't that mean that Kyuubi? You're the Kyuubi. Good job. Yes, I am the Kyuubi, but you can call me Kyu for short. 3. Kyuubi. You're the Kyuubi. Yep. And you want me to call you Kyu? Yep. Can we move on from this already? What the hell? The fourth killed you? How the hell are you here? Unless I'm dead too, and that means that this is hell and I'm going to be put in a cell just like this one, and I'm going to be stuck with this stupid fox for the rest of my death until whenever people get out of hell, but I don't think they do, so I'll be stuck here. Arg. Well, obviously I'm not. Dead, that is. Really, kid, I figured that much would be obvious. And before you even ask how I survived, I really can't be killed by one human. I can, though, be sealed by a human. What do you mean? Where are we? If you got sealed, then what did you get sealed into, and why am I in here? I didn't know much about sealing, but to seal something, or someone in this case, you had to have something to seal it into. Did I get sealed too? I sat down in a relatively dry patch of floor. This was probably going to be a long explanation. Besides, I've been walking around for Kami knows how long, and while I wasn't particularly tired, it would probably be a good idea to sit in any case. The fox's features moved closer to the cage, moving out from the shadows. Its deep red fur gleamed as it gave a foxy grin. Can a fox grin any other way? Looking pleased with my questions. How about I explain everything, huh? Let's make a deal. I'll explain everything, but you have to be quiet through it. Well, that sounded fair, but the fox said something about us needing to talk about something earlier, and I doubt that it was about its sealing. What else are you going to explain, other than how you're alive but sealed rather than dead? Good questions. Well, I'll explain how I got here, where here exactly is, and some other things that I think would make more sense after the other two explanations. Do we have a deal? I explain and you don't interrupt. The FFT, how about this, you explain, and in between subjects I get to ask questions. Then we have a deal. As if I would be able to not say anything. The fox sighed, the gust of air ruffling my red-tipped locks. I guess that's okay. Well, we have a deal then. Okay, explanation for how I got here. Well, when I attacked the Leaf Village, for a reason you don't need to know, the one who you call the fourth rose to fight me after the rest of your so-called fighting force failed. Though it was a fun fight, and I was winning regardless of the fact that the fourth brought in the amphibian to the fight, he eventually brought out a sealing jutsu. He made some pact with some spirit or something, and sealed me in return for his soul. Isn't that romantic, sacrificing himself for your little village? Anyway, he had to seal me into something, but it couldn't be just anything. It had to have the chakra to hold me, and it couldn't be easily breakable. What would the point of sacrificing himself be if I could be released if someone broke the container? Anyway, he had to seal me into a newborn. An adult would have died, his or her chakra coils burning themselves up with the introduction of my own more potent demonic chakra, and a newborn's coils would be undeveloped enough to be able to adapt to my chakra. So, he sealed me and died, intending for the child to be brought up as a hero, holding me back from destroying the village every day, but instead the child was, from the limited amount that I can tell from the past few days, treated like a monster. At this, the fox tilted its furred head to the side and regarded me with a bland expression, a startling expression to see on a giant fox. What it was saying was prickling a few things in my mind. Just in case you weren't picking up on this, that newborn was you. It took me a few seconds for the words to have any meaning. What? You can't tell me that you never wondered why the villagers treated you like the village pariah. They probably thought that you were a human version of me or some other such nonsense. Really, they aren't too smart. They remember what my power is like, and they should realize that I would have killed them for treating you like they do, yet they seem stuck with the idea that, although you haven't done anything to them, not even giving any threats to them, that you're really me. Seriously, it's like they're mice trying to pick on a collared cat. You, my dear kid, may be a collar, but that doesn't mean that I'm any less powerful. You're saying that you got sealed into me? But how? Yes, and like I said, by that fourth guy using some sealing technique. But this, thousands of questions were answered. Why did the villagers hate me? Why didn't I have parents? Why didn't anyone adopt me? Simple, all because I had the stupid fox sealed into me. No one wanted the demon container to be around, the fourth wouldn't want to burden a family with a demon child, so he found an orphan. No one would want to adopt the demon child. But no, the fourth wouldn't think like that. Maybe my mom died at my birth or something, maybe my dad died in the fight. He needed a newborn baby, and I was there. Great. Does that mean that if I was born a little later, I would have avoided this mess? Ah. Well, wait a second, that means that what Mizuki-sensei said was true. Well, at the time I believed it, but I guess I kinda forgot. No, not forgot, but pushed it to the back of my mind, since it wasn't exactly a pleasant though. Not that it's any pleasanter now than it was, then it's really hard to believe that something that I only half believed is actually true. It's like catching the toothy fairy or something, not that I ever really believed in that thing or anything, but, well, I guess there's no use crying over this. I guess there's no way to seal you into something else. Nope. And I'm surprised. I figured that you'd be spazzing about this for a few hours, not that I'm complaining or anything, of course, but still, I expected something to implode or something at least. If there's no way to change it, why complain? It's a waste of time in any case. What's that saying? Don't cry over spilled ramen. It's don't cry over spilled milk, and I guess that makes sense for a weak human. You're pretty smart. Why would you cry over spilled milk? And this fur ball really finds its ways to add in how great it is compared to me for a big fluff ball. It sure does think it's tough. Whatever, so what's your next explanation? Oh, great and powerful fur ball. To my irritation, the fur ball only looked a little offended by the name, looking equally pleased about it if anything. Stupid fox. Okay, next explanation. Where we are. Though from the other explanation, I would have thought that it would have been obvious. We are in your mindscape. This is the portion of your mind that I was sealed into. I'm guessing that you wandered around your mind a little before now. Wait, you're telling me that this dump is my mind? You said it, not me, but if it makes you feel any better, your mind is under a heck of a lot more strain with me sealed into you than anyone else's is. And the fact that this place looks like a sewer is probably lent to the fact that your subconscious at least sensed me here. And really, if you could think up an appropriate dungeon for a demon, would you cage the horrible beast in a field or in a dank sewer? Well, I guess that makes sense. Is there any way to change it? I mean, if we're stuck with each other, we both might as well be comfortable, and I don't know about you, but I would much rather not walk around in my mind and see a sewer. And what was with those creepy tunnels? There is, in fact, a way, but that can wait for a different time. As for the creep tunnels, the one to the left, Tunnel A, the blue one I supplied. Sure, okay, whatever. So Tunnel A, as you call it, is your memories. The tunnel on the right, what did you call this one, before you interrupt? Tunnel C, the red one. The fox gave another fox grin. Right. Well, that one is my memories. I'd really rather you didn't go down there without my permission. If you do now, your head will probably explode from the millennia of memories. There's some powerful stuff in there, you know. Anyway, if I feel like you need to see a memory, I can now just bring it up and show it to you. What about Tunnel B? If it's not my memories, which it is, by the way, and it's not yours, well, what I told you about the first tunnel wasn't entirely true. That one is your memories up to when your delightful eyes woke up. That means that that's an entirely new section, all because of my crappy bloodline. Well, that's stupid. Now what else was there that we needed to talk about? The fox's head tilted up and to the side, its whiskers twitching slightly. Oh, yeah, next up on the agenda is what you humans call a bloodline. Well, the explanation is about your bloodline specifically, seeing as how all the other bloodlines aren't nearly as great as the one I gave to you, but wait. That you gave to me? You're the reason why I have this stupid bloodline. Stupid? It's not stupid, it's brilliant. You weren't helping me out in the least, so when I had my chance on the bridge I took it. How the hell is me having a pervy bloodline helping you out? And I knew it. The freaking bridge. It's helping me out by taking the edge off being celibate for all of your life. And where else would it have happened? I had to totally remake your structure to be able to deal with all that I want. You should be thanking me, ungrateful brat. What the hell? If you didn't want to be cut off from your escapades, you shouldn't have attacked the village, Ero Fox. Don't call me that. I'm the great Kyuubi. I can destroy you at any. Yeah, whatever you say, you pervy fox. Now what the hell did you do to my body? Why should I tell an ungrateful brat like you? I just made you the perfect male specimen, and you're complaining about it. Ha! All you did was give me the ultimately perverted eyes and give me a different hair color. How the hell would that be considered the perfect male specimen? You gave me an infuriatingly superior look. I didn't just change your hair, nor did I just give you those special eyes of yours. I remodeled your entire body. Your bones are stronger and I made them hollow so more white blood cells can be produced. I condensed your muscle and changed your skeleton slightly, meaning that you'll be both more flexible and have more power, and it means that your body can take a heck of a lot more abuse. You have even more stamina than you had before. At this, Kyuubi gave me a decidedly wicked grin, only a fraction of difference between it and its other grins. I also made it so that your brain can hold more information for longer, as well as enhancing other parts of you. Make that stamina of yours work on everything. Insert pervy fox grin number 573. Is that no way? I must be imagining the darker red around the fox's cheeks. It's a trick of the shadows, there's no way that this giant perv is blushing. But no, even in the limited light, the insides of the fox's ears had darkened in color from their previous light pink to a decidedly darker color. What the hell does any of that have to do with anything? Why the hell did you do this anyway? There's no way that I'm going to go around having sex all the time. I'm going to be Hokage, so I have to train. Yeah, right. I never said anything about you having to have sex all the time, and why can't you be a little perverted? Please. For me. Come on, you can't be that against it, being the creator of the sexy jutsu and everything. I made that up because more than 4/5 of the male population are total perverts. It made escape a hell of a lot easier if I just used the jutsu and knocked them out with a nosebleed. Yeah, well now you can poke someone and knock them out with a nosebleed, and now you don't have to use chakra at all if you don't want to. How great is that? In any case, I'm not taking it back. It took a lot of time to get your genetics just right for your eyes to work like they do. I only managed to kick everything in gear just before this stupid cage brought me back here. Even if time goes slower in here than outside, I was still rushed for time. What exactly did you do? And why can I hear you in my head? I couldn't do that before, damn fox. Well, aside from all the magnificent upgrades to your body, as well as giving you your wonderful new bloodline, I just made a bit more of a pathway between us. I haven't eaten anything for as long as you've lived. I don't remember what a steak tastes like, let alone what it smells like. Oh, smells, how I've missed smells and being able to see things. I've been able to taste and smell and see and hear all the things that you have since I fixed your body. It's wonderful. But I have to tell you kid, if you ever want to grow any more, you should add something more to your diet than ramen. I managed to reverse some of that malnutrition and give you a more normal height, but I'm not going to blow up your body every few years just so that you can eat unhealthy amounts of ramen and stay in normal height. As it is, you're never going to be the tallest person, but I'd rather my container not be a midget. What's wrong with ramen? It's healthy. You have meat, unless you get vegetarian, grain, vegetables and I drink milk myself. Yeah, that's another thing. You aren't supposed to be able to chew milk, kid. That's just not healthy. And what if you're on a mission and your stomach decides to rebel? How professional. Oh, sorry, the soon-to-be Hokage can't come for a mission right now, he's on the toilet. I had to wince at that, but it isn't my fault if I don't always have the time to go out and get groceries. In any case, there's no way to change your body back to the way it was, not that I would if I could because this body is much better than your old one. And what was it that you said before? Something about how it didn't make sense to spaz about something that you can't change. Something about not crying over spilled me ramen. Well whatever. Just don't do anything else like that. That was painful. Aw, what a wuss. You only had your body remade. Okay, how about this, you have our body explode, then try to tell me with a straight face that it doesn't hurt. I'm the great Kyuubi kid, I don't need to remake my already perfect body. Sure you're perfect. Perfectly arrogant. Damn fox. Oh you win me kid. Too bad we can't continue this conversation, at least not face to face. You need to wake up now. And don't mistake my words, this all happened, but you need to get up from the ground. Here's a tip for next time you decide to trace that seal on your stomach, do it on a bed. The room was starting to get darker around the edges, and the fox's strange maybe male maybe female voice was gaining an echo. Wait. What the hell am I supposed to tell them? Well, you should tell that teacher of yours the truth, it's your choice whether or not you want to explain to your little friends about me, have fun. Ah. Stupid fox. The rest of the room faded to black, and I felt the floor drop from underneath me, echoes of the damn fox's chuckles fading in the blackness. Be up soon. This wasn't in the least like waking up. I was just well, not sleeping and not knocked out, but I just wasn't awake, and then I was. Maybe. Wait, he's moving. Naruto. You okay? The gloved hand lightly shook my shoulder and I took stock of the situation. I was on a soft thing, a bed probably, and I could feel a number of people around me. Just by their sense, I could tell it was the rest of Team 7, as well as Abusa and Haku. Slitting my eyes open, I let my eyes get used to the light, getting up gingerly, expecting some sort of pain for some reason. All the times that I've woken with people around my bed, there was always some sort of pain. Thankfully, there was only a slight pain in my tailbone, probably from when I fell. Hell, does that mean that that stupid conversation with that stupid fox was real? Fuck. Arms wrapped around my shoulders from the side, and I felt a slight flush move its way up my face. Her arms removed themselves for me with a final squeeze, then I felt pain blossom at the back of my head. Ow. What the hell did you do that for? You don't just hug someone then punch them. You idiot. You made me so worried. Baka. What the hell was with that? Hey, you two were the ones who got me to do it. Why are you blaming me for? Baka. Don't try to blame it on us. And what's with you caving to peer pressure? What happened, exactly? Asked Kakashi, cutting me off before I could reply to the unfair verbal attack, his calm, borderline lazy voice, a sharp contrast to the shouting match between Sakura and I. How the hell am I going to explain this? Frigging hell him. Sakura and Sasuke team re-asking if I had spots on me and what they did. I checked and I had a purple thing on my stomach and I was curious, so I traced it. Then I got knocked out. Had a strange dream and everything. I gave Kakashi-sensei a pointed look. There was this giant fox thing and it was in this gigantic cage. Freaked me out at first, but then told me all this bizarre stuff. Don't remember even half of it though. I rubbed the back of my neck sheepishly, giving Kakashi-sensei another look. Dope, only you'd get scared of a fox in a cage. Stupid team, it wasn't just any fox, it was a gigantic fox. You'd be freaked out too if you had those kind of chompers grinning at you. Its teeth were bigger than I am. Oh, that isn't that hard. I grinned when the team cut himself off, my eyes narrowing with glee. Yeah, no more height jokes, team. Turns out, we're the same height now, so the stupid team couldn't bug me about my vertically challengedness. Heck, I couldn't wait till the guys from class see me. No more size jokes. The thought brought a smile to my face, at least until I realized that along with my height, they'd also see everything else. The hair, the eyes, everything. It wouldn't be long until they heard, from me or from rumors, that I had a bloodline, and if it got out what it is, oh man, fuck. I think I need a bit more of an explanation, Naruto. Kakashi sent the rest of the group from the room, claiming that he also had to help me figure out how I was going to explain my new bloodline to the Hokage. Zabuza muttered, but complied, Haku following after him with a wave. Sakura and Sasuke gave me a look, but left also. After explaining to Kakashi exactly what happened with the fox, glossing over exactly what memories I experienced as well as the fact that the third tunnel was the fox's memories, he'd probably want me to check them out, regardless of Kyuubi's warning, he sat back with a sigh, running a gloved hand over his face. Well, you do get yourself into surprising situations, don't you? Well, I guess you already know all about it now, so why don't we talk about that later, when there's less of a chance of someone else hearing about this. Oh, don't worry, he reassured me, his visible eye curving into a smile, no one heard that, but next time you should be more observant. I sealed the room, so no one heard a thing you said. Now then, we really do need to figure out how you're going to introduce your oh-so-special bloodline to the council. A demonstration would probably help, though. No. I'm not going to get those old bastards horny. You. I felt a gag coming on, blood draining from my face at the thought. Nasty thought. Kakashi sighed, looking a little pale himself. No, I meant a demonstration on an enemy nin. Not once did the thought of you demonstrating on them cross my mind. They'd probably accuse you of trying to seduce them to the dark side or something. Both laughed at this. Lol, come over to the dark side, we have cookies and candy and t-shirts that say we have cookies and candy. Anyway, I'm going to leave what you say to you, but here's some things you should focus on. You should tell them what it does, but play it down at first. We don't want to get them worried now, do we? As if I could play it DWN any more than it actually is. How freaking serious will they take me? Oh, hello, you already know me, yeah, the demon kid. Oh, yeah, and just a heads up, I got a crappy bloodline. Yeah, I can make someone get knocked out with just one poke. Of course it's with a nosebleed, and the guy will have one hell of a boner when he gets up, but still sure, great. You should also make its use known almost immediately. They'll probably discuss things, then ask you to demonstrate. Kakashi gave me a look that said that would be more of a demand than a request. You'll be brought to the interrogation complex where you'll probably meet Ibiki Marino. After that, you'll be on your own, and you'll have to prove you can get information out of enemy ninja with your bloodline. Who's this Ibiki Marino guy? Remembered the guy's name and everything. He's the head of the torture and interrogations department. He, depending his impression of you as well as depending on his mood, will be the one to show you to the nin you'll be interrogating. Great, maybe if he doesn't recognize me, I won't be stuck with some tough mutant nin. Well, maybe. Do I get any information on the nin? Like what they want to find out from the guy, where they found him, that sort of thing. Kakashi looked pleased with my questions. If you aren't given them, you can always ask. I don't know much about the department, but I'm pretty sure that they have files on all the nin that they've had there. I think that they make the folder up immediately, adding more information about the nin as it becomes available. So in other words, Kakashi knows that they have files on all the fucks that end up in there, and I'll have to ask if I want to see any of it on the guy I'm going to interrogate. Great. The door opened then, Sasuke and Sakura walking in. I think we should be helping out with this. I mean, if Naruto has to go through with this, we should support him, right Sasuke? Besides, Naruto isn't the best at organization, so we have to help him out. If Naruto gets sent to another team, I know it won't be because I didn't help him. Though I felt happy that Sakura wanted to help, if a little annoyed that she still didn't think my organization skills were great. Didn't she see the list? I couldn't help but think that being removed from the team wouldn't be the worst thing to happen. Soon enough, I had an idea of how I was going to make my bloodline look well, not exactly great, but I at least knew how to make it look like it isn't totally useless. Sakura made me run through what I was going to say over and over again, with only small comments in between each repetition before she questioned me again. It only stopped when I interrupted myself with a big jaw-cracking yawn and a complaint about being exhausted. Only a dope like you would be tired after that long of a nap. You were out for 3 hours, dope. I gaped at him. No one had told me how long I was out for, but it wasn't any lighter than it was when I started the talk with my two teammates, so I figured it wouldn't have been that long. Caillou said that time was slower in my what it'd call it again. Mindscape, that's it, so it said it was slower, and I was in there for a heck of a long time regardless. The stupid team doesn't have to bug me about it, not like he has to deal with seeing spots all the time, even if I don't see them right now. The stupid fox made my memory better, so I remember where all the stupid spots are. I glared at him, letting a bit of violet creep into my eyes, the team retaliating by letting his own eyes go red. So, what is the sleeping arrangement? Sakura asked, breaking the staring showdown Sa's team and I were having.